It's me.
There it is.
I'm no energy in the room tonight. Chris is yawning and
I broke down. Well, I didn't really break down. I had my first gen Cummins, and bling, we are live.
There's Troy.
And so I decided I have to come down to Phoenix this week. I said, well, let me just tear my transfer case off Sunday, and put it back together, and I'll just drive it down. That's what I did. I made it all the way to Casa Grande, and I went to hit my brakes, and just a bad. I'm like, what the heck? Sound like my front axle's falling out. So I pulled over and looked at it, and my hub was hot as heck. So I made it to the gas station, got some fuel, and called AAA.
Oh, my gosh.
They've been good to me. You know what I did first? Call my dad. I'm like, he's like, I hooked the trailer up. And I said, damn, I've had AAA for 5 years. I'm going to call them. And I did. I called them.
They're good.
And I thought, man, I don't know if they're going to get here before I get to, get home, set up for the live. And she called me and says, they'll be there in 30 minutes. And then I get a text that says, watch them live. And I click on that text, and the guy's like a block away. Got there in like 10 minutes. Hooked me up. I pulled it up on the truck and brought me home.
We've used AAA before.
If I tell you what,
it works.
I don't think. It saved my family more than me, because I think I've used more of my AAA on everybody else than myself. This is the first time I used it on myself. But it's $100 a year.
Lord of mercy! Look who showed up.
You don't look very excited either today.
No, I should have. He looks fresh, though. What do they say in Spanish? Más fresco que una lechuga. He's more fresh than a head of lettuce.
No kidding.
Well spoken. Maybe I should have made a thumbnail that said "Grumpy Old Man."
That's about right with me and me and Benny, but Benny mainly. I'm not that old.
Well, I'm getting ready to be older.
When's your birthday? You're out of focus.
I'm always out of focus on yours.
I don't know. It always does that on yours. It is weird. He's clear on mine.
Sorry.
I don't know what it
is. You're trying to fade me out.
Yep.
So what happened with you, Benny? Did you have your bearing go out or anything?
No, my wife's oldest sister came and spent the weekend here, so that kept everything.
Yeah.
Did they beat you up or anything, or?
No. I was real careful of what I said and how I said it, and I said I wasn't going to walk on eggshells, but I didn't step on any eggshells. How's that?
So that was an accomplishment for you.
Yeah. That's a bunch of horseshit. That's what it is.
Hey, Marty said he scraped coon hides all day. Do coon hides bring anything, Marty? Just curious. Well, James
must
Myers,
bring something.
Little houndsman.
That's Wayne's daughter.
That's Wayne's daughter, yeah. Catman 65, Mike Rich, Tim B, Jeremiah, Flaw, Little Houndsman again right there. Chris Vela Panya. I don't know. Randy Riggs. Cass River Ranch, West Siberian Lycus. Rich Cooley. I probably don't say the names very good. What's going on? What do you got that face for?
Someone sent me something today about our buddy, my buddy, Blindy.
Both you guys got these buddies. What's yours is
Knucklehead. He has Knucklehead. I have the blind man.
Yeah, you're blind.
Blind.
Benny has, what's that? What you have? Terry Matter. Is that his name?
Metler. So I sent that to the W and I blocked off his last name, but everybody knows who he is.
Who cares?
Easy here.
I don't care. He puts it up
Yeah,
here
we
on
get
the.
it.
He puts it up here on the
Good.
board. The one we're not supposed to say his name is Benny's undercover agent.
Knucklehead.
We've been scolded
Yeah,
for
I
that.
guarantee.
He called me and scolded me.
He did, and then he never came on.
I told him, I said, I'll send you a link. Let me know. You can come on and defend your honor. I said, I don't care. We say whatever we think.
Well, I happen to know that he has been threatening to come on, but he's been told that it won't work out well. Don't do it.
Who told you this?
His secret informant.
Hey, I guarantee the informant's informant.
Benny lives in this top secret world. He's
Maybe
probably
I told you
he's probably the undercover agent.
Yeah.
Covert. Very covert.
He's trying to bust out everybody else.
Infiltrate hound groups to find out what they're doing wrong.
Well, I can tell you what they're doing wrong.
What are they? Yeah, I know.
I probably better not get started. Yeah.
You want me to share this?
Oh, you don't have to share it. It's just someone sent me. No, here. Don't share that one. Hang on. Let me edit it so I can get because it shows who sent it. Let me edit it. Hang on here a second. It's just the kind of stuff that like you're dealing with. Gosh dang it.
So Rick Cooley, somebody's given the dog ivermectin once a what? I always got told that dogs couldn't take ivermectin.
I always give my dogs ivermectin for
I've
worm.
wormed them that way before.
And
That's for heartworm. We used to give it for heartworm to get a little squirt in the mouth for heartworm.
And then on Houndsman XP, I think that big worming one they had podcast, I think they talk about it. But there's certain ones that are better than others with 10% of blah, blah, blah. But
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, all kinds of long lettered words with a lot of vowels in it.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Gives those ones looking at a new.
Why would it matter how often he gives ivermectin? Rick, what's your concern? He's only given ivermectin once a year. Do you think he's going to have worms or heartworms or what?
I forget what it gets. What all it gets, but wow. Did you answer me there, Marty? Well, sorry, I got sidetracked.
But what are you looking at that thing I sent you?
No. This is what Marty. I think it's what Marty sent me. Look at that.
I want a coyote blanket. That don't even look like. You've seen coons and they're all dirty, nasty, greasy. When they're all done up like that. I remember we used to wash them coyote hides real good and they just fluff out, man. It was beautiful.
Look at that.
That's gorgeous. Is that an actual blanket?
I think that's his blanket on his bed.
I want that. I'd like a coyote.
All you got to do is go live with him.
He probably lets you sleep right on the other side.
Whatever it takes. Collie dogs.
That's Marty.
Collie dog.
Marty Bear.
Can't have ivermectin.
Him and I have known each other for a long time.
I don't know.
That's right. Yeah. You can't give ivermectin to border collies you're right, Rick.
Why?
It's been a long time. I haven't worried about heartworm since I've been up here in the desert. But down in the valley when I had the farm, we had lots and lots of mosquitoes, and that's how heartworm is spread. So
Actually, going to be
buy a new dog, or are you out of line wanting to go to the vet to do blood work? It depends on your circumstances. Every deal is different. If you
how much you paying for the dog?
Yeah, I mean, if it's $100 dog, well, it's going to be a $300 vet bill.
You mean what would you? I mean, just to
some people. some people are serious about their dogs. You know what I mean? I don't take my dogs to the vet, but I have vet friends, so kind of tell me what to do.
Will.
I
I
only
mean, if
took my
it's
dogs to the vet if they got face to face with a lion in a hole where they were all punctured up and looked like a pincushion in the front, and then I'd take them to the vet. But
Yeah.
other than that, hell with them.
that's not right, Benny. They,
Ah, you're so cruel.
I bet if you paid $17,500 for a dog like that one that sold up there in Farmington, and you just went out one day and he didn't wake up early enough or he limped or something, man, I'd have him down at the vet.
Brett, they're all the same.
No, they're not. They absolutely are not, Benny.
Yeah, some cost more than others.
Yeah, you're not
Okay,
going to tell me
well,
one of these things that I got out here is the same as that 17. Although I do have a half brother to him, full half
see,
Yeah,
brother.
there's my point. So just because you pay the money, it doesn't make it any different dog than the one that you raise that's just as good.
Benny, the difference is you have more of an investment in it.
So you'd rather lose a $15,000 dog that didn't cost you anything because you raised it over one that you paid
Well,
for?
what's the value of him if you're not going to sell him anyway? But if you had money coming out of your pocket for 17,000, yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah, I don't see it that way, but that's everybody's different too.
Well, how do you see it? How do you put a
I see
dollar
it as
value? What? How do
a
you put a
dog's a
dollar
dog.
value on a dog if you're never going to sell it?
you got to know
Personal.
what they're worth. It doesn't matter,
It don't. You
Brett.
don't
They
have to
they
know
have
what they're worth. You don't
if
have if you're not going to sell it.
no, what I'm saying is you know your dog's value. Whether you sell it or don't sell it, you know the caliber of that dog, you know the general market, and you know what the dog's worth.
I think what he's saying is you have dogs that you probably would take to the vet, and there's dogs you probably wouldn't take to the vet.
Well, I mean, the only way you can determine the value in a dog is what somebody will give for it. You can make up any story. I could say, this dog out here I got's worth $25,000. Good luck trying to find somebody give me that for him. So, I mean, now I guess you could value if somebody said, come up to you and said, "Hey, I'll give you $5,000 for that dog right there."
Well, and you
Okay,
say no, and he says I'll
let's
give you
take
8,
your
and you say
mules.
no.
Look at your mules as an example, Brett. Is your Bonnie mule worth what you paid for her?
She's worth a lot.
Less, more, the same?
She's worth a lot more than I paid for her, but money actually came out of my pocket. But
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's also a mule. I mean, they have auctions and stuff. I guess they have dog auctions too. I don't
Well,
know.
I know
you know what?
I just don't look
Sometimes
at
it's
it that way. I don't put a
sometimes
dollar value on all that stuff.
sometimes it's the name that makes it valuable.
Absolutely. See, this dog
Not
came
even
from,
you've seen it in horses, Brett. I'm sure you've seen plenty of horses that come through because the trainer or it came out of a certain sire or whatever.
well, for
That
breeding purposes. I mean, when you go through and you buy a gelding, you're just buying him for specific what he can do, his performance.
Yeah.
But in a mare, a brood mare, you can pay more for those genetics. Also for, a young colt that you're going to raise and try to get, keep those genetics, whatever, they're worth something. And I guess the dogs are, although there's no registry really. That's the problem that you can certify. People can say anything.
I think the only registries I got this from Allen or Derringer or Bean or whoever.
Yeah,
And then you got to take it for what it's worth because every blue tick hound that has big ears and droopy eyes, everybody says it's a Cameron.
Or this dog goes back to the Lee brothers, or whatever.
I had a guy give me 2 blue ticks. Said it's out of Ben Lilly stuff.
Wayne said Brett had a dollar value on that pup that I paid for. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah,
No. He had a dollar value on it because he paid for it.
But I mean, sometimes well, I mean, then if you just start giving dogs away, then other people don't value them either. Does that
Well,
make
that's the
sense?
deal. That's a good example because I trade a lot of dogs. I don't sell dogs. I'm not out enough to say I've caught 32 lions last month or whatever the deal.
That's all.
So if you, well, it was a dry month.
It was a bad year or
I
bad
don't
month.
count doubles. I don't count doubles. That's
Oh,
just one tree.
you don't count the
Yeah,
same lion twice.
yeah. So if you if I sell a dog for $100, people are like, "Oh, it's $100 dog." If I sell a dog for $800, I'm like, "Why?" Well, buy it and find out. Curiosity. It's like those consultations and stuff. Probably you two the same. I had one cost me a couple $100 an hour for my private investigator, and she tore me apart. And she's like, "Your website's stupid. Free consultation. Why would you do it free? Are you not worth it?" I mean, she tore me apart. She says, "You give them a price. You don't ever discount. Most of my retainers, my smallest retainers, are usually for a decent case, 1,500 just to look at it, get started. You know,
Wow.
don't just go down to 1,000. Don't go down to 500. You know what I mean? You got to make yourself worth the money. And if you think you're only worth $500, then who's going to hire someone that's $500? So if
Yeah.
you sell a puppy for $800, and people are buying your puppy for $800, if it's worth $800 and they go out and this dog turns out great, then people are going to pay $1,000 for it. But I mean,
I don't ever.
but I
I
don't
don't.
sell puppies.
I
I
don't
give
go
them
back
away.
on
I
that.
trade
Yeah.
them. I give them
mean,
to other houndsmen.
I usually sell them for $100 a piece, I think,
Yeah.
and just that way they have a little
Mm-hmm. And
skin
you
in the game.
probably, yeah, and you probably like me. I'll give them away to somebody who wants to get into hunting.
But like Al or Uno or Timmy out there, Booger's too old, but any of those dogs, I mean, I couldn't ever price them. I mean, I wouldn't price them. As long as I'm feeding my family and I'm paying the bills, they're not for sale, and I don't care how much money people got.
Yeah.
And I say that, and then
Well, there's your value.
Elon Musk comes up and offers me a couple $1 million. I think they might leave the house then. I might go deliver them. But
If they don't, you better not talk about it.
but within reason, I guess is what you
But
say.
that goes to your personal what you think he's worth. What
Well,
maybe we should have named this. How much could you sell? But if someone came up to you and you have a really good dog and they say, "Dang, I'll give you 10 grand for that dog," and you're just like, "No, I'm good." What's the
none of those
price
3
you'll
dogs I
take?
would sell for 10 grand.
I mean, what's the price you would take? If I came up to your best dog, you think your best dog, I said, "I'll give you 20 grand for it," would you sell it?
No.
See, you have a worth. You know what he's worth.
No,
You
that's
know
not.
what he's
It's
worth.
not. He's not
To
worth that.
you.
But no,
But he
I
is.
don't. You don't understand the concept here. It's not the money. It's not about money. It's not putting the value like that. It's not putting a dollar value on that dog. To somebody else, I mean, I think those dogs are probably, $4,500 dogs. They're pretty trashy. They'll trail a line and catch it. I don't catch enough lines to get them really hard broke. If you're around them long enough, you can tell, you can read them. But yeah, I don't know. I just look at it a little bit different, I guess.
Well, and you're not out there in the circle of people that are selling dogs, Brett.
Mm-mm. I
And
don't
so
want to be.
Yeah,
you know what your dogs are
yeah.
capable of.
Yeah.
And so to say that they're only at how old are they? 5?
Oh no, those terrorists! I figured it up the other day. They're already 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old.
Really?
Yes.
And you don't see them, and you don't see them in your mind worth more than $4,500. Do you stop and consider if you went to buy a dog from somebody that had the dog that's capable of what your dog's doing, what would they want for it?
I
Wayne, I don't know who Brett is,
I don't
but
know
I think
that I would do that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't want to figure that worth like that. I guess I don't articulate this very well.
Well, yeah, because if you were out of dogs and you had to replace your dogs monetarily, then what kind of light would it shine on your situation?
I don't know. I really don't know. I've never gone out and just really hunted for dogs like that.
Tim,
I mean,
Tim's barking up the wrong tree right now because I got 2 sets of twins. I got spares. Make me an offer. I got a 6-year-old, 10-year-old.
and he knows how to
I'll
make
trade you
and he knows how to make other ones.
And they all feed dogs. They rake crap. You know what they did Sunday? They had to pick up insulation. We had a big pile of insulation, and they were covered in insulation. Horrible, old, nasty, old stuff, like 30-year-old insulation. So they're worth something. I'll trade you for some dogs, matter of fact.
Anyway, yeah, I don't like to talk about the, value in the dogs. Like Jack, that dog that Cody King got me. He got him. Cody called me like 5 days later, said, "Hey, a guy in Mexico has a full sister to him. Says he'll give you $2,500 for him right now." And I said, "No, I don't care about that." And I said, "You gave him to me. If you want him back, you can send him down there and get the $2,500. And of course, Cody, he builds Walmarts. He doesn't have to worry about that. So,
Yep.
So Jack's still sitting out there, and he was probably worth $2,500 5 days after I had him. Now he's probably only worth about $1,200.
His worth diminishes when they go to Brett.
But you guys remember the story about Bolt?
Oh,
God, look at that. That's scary. Back off a little bit. Back off a little bit, Jared.
I got it.
That's them working guys. Always act like they're working.
What's going on? What Benny, finish your point. Look, when he gets his arms crossed, it worries me like that.
Oh yeah, it's coming now.
My shoulders hurt. And jacking with that loader all day long, it's tearing up my shoulders worse. So anyway, you remember I
remember
the
Bolt.
story about Bolt.
Yes.
Bolt was Larry Hendrick's dog. Steve was giving Larry grief. He had this litter of pups, and he says, you don't even have a good breeding program. You just, banter between each other for friends. And he says, look at that dog right there. He's even barking at planes because there was an airplane way up high in the sky, and the dog was just looking up in the air. So Steve gets in a situation. No, Larry needed a new pickup. And so he called Steve and he says, hey, you need to come over here and buy one of these young dogs off of me. He says, I need to get some money gathered up for a pickup. So Steve goes over there to Larry's and he's looking at all those dogs. And he said, so out of all these young dogs, which one's the best? He says, that one right there. I call him Bolt. He says, that's that one that chases airplanes. So he's better at, So anyway, I don't know what the deal was, but Steve ended up with Bolt. And there was a guy in Texas that got a bunch of ranchers to sponsor him to hunt lions, Perry Helmsley. Perry went to Steve's house. You remember?
Yep.
And so Perry went to Steve's house, and Steve knew that he had $10,000 in his pocket. And so Steve showed him all these dogs, and he says, what about that dog over there? You haven't showed me that dog. He says, that dog's not for sale. Well, everything's for sale. Name your price. He says, no, it's not for sale. He says, no, really. Just name your price. If you was going to sell him, what would it take? And Steve knew he only had $10,000. So he said, well, if I was going to sell that dog, it'd cost $15,000. He says, can I borrow your phone? And those ranchers wired him $5,000 more dollars, and he bought Bolt for $15,000.
I remember hearing that story.
So, it just depends.
I think the difference too is you got people who are doing it as a job.
Exactly.
Like people who I don't do it for a job. I just do it because I do it. Now, let's ask Jared. Your top dog. If someone came and offered you $15,000 for it, would you sell it?
No.
How much would you sell it for?
I don't think I could, because if I book 4 hunts, that dog just made me $20,000.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
Or it could
Well,
potentially make you 20 grand. Do you guys remember that movie Django Unchained?
Yeah.
yeah.
You're not going to sell me your best slave. You're not going to sell me your second best slave, but your third slave. You'll sell me your third slave. I got a third best dog I'd sell out there for you for about 15. You know, but you're not going to
So
get my best.
Well, I just know that it depends on what's your ability to make more dogs, you know, and so that comes into play as well. These guys that have a bunch of dogs and they have a bunch of pups and they hunt, like Larry Hendricks, he hunted 6 days a week, all winter long. So he had the ability to make more dogs. When he
Yep.
was on the Wallapai Indian Reservation for all those years, I think he killed 80 lions first few years that he got there. Well, 80 lions for all those dogs, that's a pretty sweet deal to make more dogs.
Oh yeah. I've had terrible luck in my deal.
We just talked about that today, didn't we?
What?
We
Tell us
did.
your bad luck.
Oh, I just haven't been able. I get a good dog, and something stupid happens. I'll get I had that blue tick that died this year, and she was treeing at 5 months, 6 months old, cold trailing at a year and a half, like rubber her nose red at a year and a half. 3 years old, she's cranking. Gonna be my top dog once my older dogs get too old. She had a collapsed lung and died. You know, just that. Or I had another dog at 2, kind of the same story. He didn't tree very good, but man, he could trail. He got a cactus in his groin and it leg swelled up on a Friday, and I was like, well, I'll take him in Monday. He's still walking around and eating just fine. By Sunday, something happened Saturday night. The cactus punctured his intestine or something, and he went septic and was dead in 4 hours. He went from just limping around to dead, and it was because of a cactus needle.
Bad luck.
You know,
You never know.
just bad luck. I had another dog get a foxtail in its lung. Was on antibiotics for 3 weeks. Hunted her the whole season. The last day of lion season, put her in the dog. She jumped in the dog box, fell asleep, never woke up. They think it's because of the foxtail.
I'll be dang.
Yeah, just,
But that's there's a difference too. Jared hunts pretty hard, so they're more apt to have something happen to him rather than me.
What do you do for a living, Jared? Besides
pave
guide,
asphalt.
lay asphalt.
Yeah.
You work for a contractor. You got your own company.
Contractor.
Contractor.
See, if you want to hunt a lot, you got to do jobs that no one wants to do, and you can kind of get away with stuff.
Like asphalt in the summer in Tucson.
Yeah, I'll guarantee
like
that's a hot
asphalt in the
booger.
summer in Tucson. Yeah. You show up every day in the summer, he can find someone to fill your spot in the winter.
And then you could come back in the summer.
Yeah, and then I can come back in the summer and want to die.
Do you advertise your guiding service?
A little bit, not a lot. I mean,
Mouth only, basically, word of mouth.
You get you get to guide quite a few hunters every winter.
4 or 5 a winter.
4 or 5.
You know, but I do 7-day hunts.
What do you go set up a camp somewhere and hunt out of a camp? Set up wall tents and stuff.
No, I don't provide food or lodging because.
Oh, okay.
I am a terrible cook.
That's what he calls Chris
spam, for. Yeah. If you want spam and a Diet Coke at the end of the day, you can camp with me.
What do y'all hunt on mules, or do you just drive, or how do you do that?
Depending, like I got some younger guys, that they're really gung ho and they want to go on foot. They get bored in the buggy, so we'll go and hike around.
Oh, so y'all.
Jared is a mule. Just remember that.
Yeah.
He don't stop.
And then, I had some boys from Texas, and they wanted to hunt out of the buggy, which I don't blame them. And we hunted out of the buggy and were successful doing it. So why not?
Go to Rick's question real quick. So most of you
Rick
guys would
Cooley.
not
So most
get
of you
a
guys
vet
would
check.
not get a vet check on a new dog you were buying. Yeah, I would. I mean,
Yeah.
if I was paying very much money
Good
for
money.
it.
Good money. Well, I mean, how much you paying for the dog? If you're paying $5, $6, $7, $8,000, why not? Why not go get a $200-$300 vet check, $500 vet check?
Well,
Yeah.
it just depends on who you like. I only buy dogs from one person now, two people now, pretty much. So
And I was
one
gonna go
person.
there. I was gonna say it depends. Who do you buy? Are you buying it from somebody you know? Is it a reputable deal? People matter. Will they stand behind it if something happens? And
Mhm.
realistically, you're buying a chance. Everything's that living and breathing is a risk.
Well, yeah. The
Well,
first
even
day
that
you turn it
17.
out, you don't know what kind of bluff it's going to fall off
Yeah.
of or
Yeah,
whatever.
even those $17,000 dogs, they can die in the next day when they're out. Like you
Sure.
said,
Yep.
right off a
Yep.
bluff, stomped by a mule, something, killed by a lion.
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of money to do that, or I would. I'd be buying $10,000 dogs, and I'd be hunting every day.
Well,
If I
how
had
much
that
money? Let's go there. What kind of money would you have to be able to spend that? I mean,
Oh God, you'd have to be making, like, honestly, you either have to be a trust fund baby, or have that money. You making enough money to where your company's making money and you can go hunt, or you just got money. I don't know, win the lottery. I'd
I
have
was
to
just
have a
wondering
lot
if
of
there's a
money.
dollar amount. Are you making one
Oh
hundred
God, I'd
fifty
have to be
thousand
making
dollars a year? You making $200,000 a year, or
Well,
no.
it just depends on
If
how
you're
you're good with
only
money.
do what?
making a
If you're making $200,000 a year, but you got a $2,000 house payment and a $1,700 truck
Well, I
payment.
mean that's all relative. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're
if
spending your money on other things, you probably don't want to hunt
well
hounds that much anyway.
if you're only making 150,000 a year, 200,000 a year, you're probably working your ass off for that.
Not
So you don't have
necessarily.
time.
I mean, I think once you get
A
past that one,
majority of the people, you know what I mean. Now, if you're profiting $200,000 a year, that means you probably got a good crew out there making you money.
Yeah.
You know what
well,
I
there's
mean?
a lot. I
Look
mean,
at
you don't
you.
have to
Look
have
at you.
crews. I mean,
Well, look at you. You had a guy running your stuff for a long time, and then once he went
well,
away, you got
they
stuff
didn't
doing
run
it.
it. I still ran it.
Well, yeah,
But I had
yeah.
responsible employees that I
Mhm.
could depend on that would take care of things while I was off, in the woods. But I still, we had meetings and stuff. I called them up, we lined them out. I got all the emails, I got everything. I did the jobs, I did all that, but they
Most.
were good at doing the work. And he was a trustworthy guy. I sent him to California, I sent him to Washington
Mhm.
State, I sent him everywhere, and he'd go get the job done. I mean, there was no problem with
Yeah.
it.
I think if you got a good company, and some of those guys, they got good company. Those guys that are running to Africa, and they're established. They got
Oh
the money
yeah.
to spend.
Well, and back to that, I had a real wise man tell me many, many years ago when I was young. He said, "Remember," he said, "you can hire somebody to do your work." He said, "But you can't hire someone to run your business.
Yep.
You got to run your
Yeah.
business.
Well,
You have to be involved.
You have to run it.
Period.
I mean, it's your business. You have to run it."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure, there's big businesses that pay executives tons of money and they, do a good job running. But for the most part, we have to run our own business.
Rick, is he not wanting to get a vet check? I'd be wary if someone was kind of saying no, don't get a vet check.
Yeah.
But who's paying for it? Did you offer to pay for it? I don't. Trading a dog plus $2,500.
Why'd you short the guy $5, Tim?
Just
I'll
'cause
get
he
you a
could.
big gulp.
I work harder physically
Tim
for my
brought up
40 grand
another
a
thing
year
on
than
there.
most that make 200. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you make lots of money with your brain.
Yep.
Tim brought
My
up another deal on there, guys. He says he would not only get a vet check, but he'd get him on a 30-day trial. But
That's
there
good.
again, that gets back to, yeah, but if you're dealing in let's just say a $10,000 dog, because the I know dogs that go way beyond that, but a $10,000 dog. If you were selling a $10,000 dog to someone you didn't know, would you give them the dog for 30 days?
no,
If I had the $10,000 in my
Well,
hand,
what did he
I
like?
say
wouldn't.
here,
Senior?
yeah, I got your $10,000. I'm putting it in this coffee can right here. You take that dog for 30 days. If something happens to him, that 10,000 stays with me. If you bring me back the same dog you left with and you don't like him, here's your 10,000 back. We've
It,
traded horses like that before.
I've seen guys ruin
There-
big dogs. Just
Yeah.
Absolutely.
you know,
How'd they ruin them?
you know, they could be. It just like
Well,
this one guy. He wouldn't let his dog. He was a road hunter, so he would road his dogs down the road, but he wouldn't cast his dogs out of sight. So he kept toning the dogs until the dogs were 10, 15 yards just checking both sides of the
So you
road.
think 30 days would ruin one of your dogs like that?
Depending on how, if he hunted it 30 days straight, 20 days
Well, come on,
out
let's
of the
be
month, then
reasonable. Let's be reasonable.
it's
He's hunting
it just
for
depends on
30
the
days.
guy.
He's hunting 4 days a week, something like that, like most guys do.
Yeah, it could happen. I mean, I heard a guy down here got mad. You sold me a piece of crap dog, whatever, and it's just the guy got the dog back, and he's like, the dog's been whooped and beaten to death, scared to move.
Yeah,
Hey,
that would.
that happened to me. That happened to me. I traded a young dog, for a started horse. And I never did get my horse. And so then on a Saturday, my wife called me and said, "Hey, so and so said that he's going to go to Clovis and he's going to need somebody to meet him in Roswell. He's giving your dog back." I said, "What the hell? He had this damn dog for 6 months." So I got my dog back. He
After 6
has, it
months,
was,
though, that's
yes, yes. And well, but they hadn't filled their end of the deal, Brett. I didn't have a started horse. There's supposed to be a 3-year-old colt already started. So then somebody goes, I think my son went and got the dog, and when I got home, I went and looked, and he was wormy, and he was very, very scared of everybody around. And that's not the way that dog started out. And I trusted the guys.
so.
Could you fix him?
So yes.
Did you bring him back out
But
of it?
yeah, it took a year and a half.
Mhm.
And then I traded him for a custom saddle. And the guy made me the saddle. It's out in the saddle house right now. But there's those deals all the time. One of these guys that wrote a book that thinks he's smarter than everybody else bought a female dog from Hendricks. And he had that dog for 3 years.
You can't say that. I want to know who wrote the
I know.
book, Benny.
John Kibler.
I knew it.
Mr. Kibler. What did the
John
lion? What
Kibler.
did they call him? The lion. What did they call him? Lion
Lion.
Oh, he
King.
calls himself the Dean of Dry
The
Ground
Dean
Lion.
of Dry Ground Lion. There you go.
He's so full of shit. Anyway, so Kibler buys this dog from Hendricks, pays a good price for it, trained dog. Kibler has a dog 2.5, 3 years, raises a litter of pups every 6 months, and sells those pups. The country's full of pups out of that bitch. And then tells Hendricks, "Hey, this dog's got valley fever. I want my money back."
Well, yeah, but then you guys are giving extreme examples. I mean, 2 years.
Well,
I
but
mean,
that's how these deals go.
no, they're not how they go. Somebody I sold a dog 2 years. Lord of mercy. I gave you a 30-day trial. That's what our conversation started out as, is 30 days,
Yeah.
not 2 years. Lord of mercy.
I just know that
What's a good
these
reason to bring
deals-
him back in 2 years or 30 days then? What's a good reason to bring him back in 30 days?
Some
Well,
They
dogs
just
tell,
gonna
just
give
don't
him
mesh.
his money back
Some dogs just don't mesh.
that's true
with the
too.
Like,
person or other packs, right?
yeah, like
That's exactly
I
right.
I had a dog, and I was training her for a guy. Bobcat was in a tree. Dog would not do a thing. Just ran around circles in the tree. And I mean, the tree is 8 feet. I caught him in the willows in Nevada. The other dogs were treeing and everything. This dog wouldn't do a thing. And I'm like, man. I call my I was doing it for a buddy. I call him. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do with your dog. Like, he's seen a couple lions and 3 bobcats so far this winter, and he's not trailing, he's not treeing. I don't know what to do. Give him back to him, and he's like, he's amazing. And I'm just like, he didn't do anything for me. He literally did nothing. And I don't know if he just didn't like me, didn't like the dogs because they were new, what have you. But I had that dog for 2.5 months, and he
Should
got the dog and loved it.
should have had a 120-day trial.
Something.
But he's right. Sometimes it's just they just don't, for whatever reason, personalities. But um,
So that's all the more
Tom
reason to give a trial period, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tom Tom White. You know Tom White.
Yeah, I know Tom.
Oh, so Tom bought a dog. He and I were hunting a little bit, and I said, "Hey, where'd you get that little wire-haired dog?" He says, "That's not supposed to be a wire-haired dog. That's a hound." I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, then what's the matter with you?" He said, "I don't know." He says, "I bought him from oh dang it, I can't think of the guy's name now. The the guy from Valentine. He's dead.
Henry
Henry
McIntyre.
McIntyre.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said I bought him from Henry McIntyre, and it's a 30-day trial, and I've had him for 20 days, and he's not showing me anything. I said, "Well, how come he looks that way, and how come he's scared acting?" And he says, "I don't know." I said, "Well, Henry buys all his dogs. Where'd that dog come from?" He said, "A guy named John Clump." So we get closer to town where my phone works, and I call, "Hey, John, tell me about this dog." "Which dog?" I told him. He says, "Oh, that's a good son of a gun." He says, "If I was still selling them to Venezuela," he says, "that was a high dollar dog, and Henry talked me out of selling it down there in Venezuela, and he bought him." Or Harley. I said Harley was the dog's name, but he said Henry told me that he'd give me the money and I wouldn't have to put him on an airplane, so Henry bought him. I said, "So what's wrong with the dog?" He said, "Nothing, nothing. It's a top-notch dog." I said, "Okay, thanks." So I told Tom what John told me, and so Tom had him on a 30-day trial, and he was 20 days into it at that point. He takes him back, within the next few days. Henry's mad. He cussed him and pretty harsh on him and said he didn't know shit about a good dog or nothing else. And 4 days later, that dog died. So yeah, there's times for a trial, and there's other times, but I also think that if you're dealing with somebody that's reputable and honest, which you don't know sometimes till it's too late, that if something's wrong with the dog, they'll stand behind it. But if you
Yeah.
wreck the dog like Henry wrecked that dog, well, that's purely on you.
Yep.
I had a guy just text me and said, "Interesting, you guys mentioned Bolt. I got a female pup from Steve Smith. Her name was Judy. She was a phenomenal dog many years ago. She was directly from Larry Hendricks out of his Bolt dog. I crossed
Cool.
her with the dog that I had, and that is pretty much still the dogs I have today. That was interesting. Never heard anybody else that knew Bolt. I bought one other dog from Steve Smith and Larry. His name was Luther. We never bred Luther to anything. He was a really nice dog, but never crossed him."
Oh, you're talking to those boys over there at Greenback.
Down Pownell Basin area.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time I talked to him when I was looking for Luther.
Nichols,
And Luther
the
had
Nichols
died
boys.
2 months. Yep. Luther had died 2 months prior to when I got in touch with Jared. I had a female that I got from Larry that had Luther in her way back, and it was far enough back that I wanted to circle back and breed Luther. And I looked and looked and looked, and I finally found Jared. And Luther had just died 2 months prior.
I heard about Bolt forever, for a long time.
Hmm.
He was one heck of a dog.
Clark Richards
Speaking of
told us a lot
buying
about
dogs,
that too.
since we're talking about buying dogs, I messaged Breck Bean because I need some more dogs. And I don't think I just said, hey, I'm looking for a 2 to 3 year old dog, not trash broke, just trails, trees, does the normal stuff. Yeah, all I got back was I'll think about it. And that was a month and a half ago.
That's
He's still
Bre-
thinking
You know?
about it. Give him
Breck
time.
and I talk often.
Yeah. And so, and it could be because I don't sell dogs to people. I don't know.
Well, I
Well,
think their dogs. I mean, they use their dogs. I mean, they're
Yep.
guiding hunter. His boy Jim Breck is guiding lots of hunters, and they're catching a lot of lions.
Oh, they're
And
doing
well,
dang good.
yeah, they
let's
hunt
jump
their.
down that rabbit hole. Who do you sell a dog to? How do you vet that guy? We're talking about.
Oh,
Well, what about the guy
now,
selling the
see,
dog? Now, how do you vet the guy
you're gonna have
that's
to
buying the dog?
you're gonna
Do
have
you
to
go
sharpen your
hunting with
pocket knife
him?
if you want to cut that deal.
Well,
Yeah,
how
good
about
luck.
the buyer? How about the buyer? You
That's
go
what
to
I'm
someone
saying.
like Jared or Breck Bean and them, and they're making their living with their dogs, or they're making money with them. Jared has a $20,000 hound out there. He ain't going to sell him. He's making money with him. I mean, so why would if Jared has a dog for sale? I look at him and say, well, what's wrong with him? Why are you selling him?
Mm-hmm.
And unless he comes back and says, well, I don't need him. I got 5 more just like him in the pen.
Yep.
Well, what about John Clump? John Clump always sold his best dog.
But John was making money that way. I mean, that was one of his ways of, and he was in good country, and he could go out and make those dogs.
Yeah, but John will make another best dog too.
John's
Because
got a
he's always
way.
out.
John's got a way with him and dogs. I guarantee you. I watched it. He's got that real quiet voice, and he's got a way with them. I'll guarantee it.
Yeah. And are we talking about who to pick for a seller right now, right?
Yeah,
You
like
got to
how do
keep
you vet
up,
the
Jared.
seller?
You got to keep up.
I'm trying to.
He's still mad. He's still mad. Breck Bean hasn't called him back yet.
Yeah.
Probably lost your number.
I'm just like, well, I mean, I don't blame the guy because I don't post anything that I catch. Like, I got an Instagram page, but I haven't uploaded a
I
picture.
I bet if
You
you
know,
posted it, they probably wouldn't see it anyway.
Yeah.
yeah, it's because that's how I look at
It's not.
people.
It's not that. It's just that they're just not interested in selling dogs.
I believe it. That's why I want to buy dogs from those people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to buy dogs from a dog jockey.
Yeah. And you're not going to, and if you do buy one from them, you're not going to buy a bad one. The bad ones don't get sold.
Yep. Like my buddy that I bought a dog from last year. I had an old dog go down, I had another dog get injured, and I'd hunt, and I thank God the guy left on day 3 because of work. He had a 7-day hunt, and he left after day. I caught a lion for him the first day. He said it was too small. Didn't find anything for him the second day. The third day, I got on a long female off a deer kill. We ran her about a mile and a half off a deer kill. Caught the female, still too small. And he's like, man, I got to go back to work. He's like, I can't finish this hunt out. And I'm like, thank God, because I don't have a dog to hunt tomorrow. I mean, everything was exhausted.
Wore out.
That's what got us on the conversation today. I said, Jared, you need 15 dogs. He says, I'm trying. I'm trying.
I am trying,
Would you ever consider going full time?
I would love to, but it's really hard to guide, because that guiding in the hound world is so saturated right now.
Well,
It's
Sorry for
There's a lot of guys
if
guide
you were
me.
going to do it though, if then you could diversify your business by
Yeah.
down there where you have guide some coos deer hunters and different things,
Yep.
javelina and stuff. Hang your shingle out, put some put some tents out there, and
Yeah,
cook.
I
Have
had buddies guide
hire
full
Chris to
time.
come cook for you.
Yep, I had buddies guide full time, and I ended up training their dogs. Taking their dogs out because they had elk hunts, they had deer
Elk hunts
hunts, and
out. There you go. That's the problem, isn't
and
it? There.
that's and I hate. I don't mind doing 1 or 2 coos deer hunts here. I can let the dogs sit still for a week and do a coos deer hunt for my wife or maybe a hunter if he wants to pay me. I can do that for a week, but I'm not doing 7, 8 coos deer hunts for a season. I mean, no, I have dogs. I pay $400, $500 a month in dog food. I ain't gonna let them sit all month.
I think I've seen it happen before that when you get to the point where you say, okay, I'm catching lions, I'm in a good area, I'm going to start guiding hunters, I'm going to quit my job, and I'm just takes a lot of the fun out of it.
It can. I enjoy the stress. I really
If you're
enjoy people
if you're dependent on it to put beans on the table,
yeah, I mean, kind of. I guess I haven't been in that situation, but I like the stress. I like because it gives you a reason to wake up early in the morning. Gets you excited like, "Hey, I got to get this done for this guy. Otherwise, he's going to be pissed." I enjoy that. Where some guys are just like, and I meet cool people. Them boys from Texas were awesome that me and Chris got to hunt with. And then I took another couple of guys out that were super awesome guys. I've never really had a bad client where I'm just like, God, I can't wait for this guy to leave. I've
so
never had
that's what
that.
you do all winter? Is you guide hunters?
Not all winter. I still lay asphalt in the winter too, but my boss works around my schedule.
How come you don't go just full time guiding hunters?
Because I don't have it. Because I don't have any I don't have a hunt coming up until the end of this month for my first one.
Jared
Is there
don't
just not enough
exactly
customers?
advertise.
Not enough
Yeah,
customers, or why?
not enough customers, and I even called my boss up in Nevada, and I was like, "Hey, do you got lion hunters this winter?" And he's like, "Yeah," but he's like, "We don't have no snow," and I was just like, "Well, it's all right."
Join
I was
the
like, "If they
join the
want to come."
crowd.
Yeah. I was like, I don't have any. So I talked to him a little bit. He might send me some guys down here. We'll see. But I don't advertise as my deal. I hear too many horror stories of guys working for big outfits and they just cycle through hunters like, hey, you got to kill day 3 because you got another guy coming in. I double stacked you.
Well, that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, the taking the fun out
And
of it.
that part.
Making it.
Come on back, Jared. Come on back. Everybody froze up.
Guys.
Yeah.
Oh.
We lost you there
Because
for
I
a
get
minute.
to talk to the guys. Oh. Good?
You're good now.
Start over.
Okay. So that's why I kind of came down here and I started my own business down here is because I get to talk to the guys. I'll have guys call me and say, hey, man, I want to catch a lion no matter what, this and that. I want to, he's got to be 160 pounds. And I'm like, you need to go to someone of probably Montana, Idaho, British Columbia. I'm in southern Arizona. They don't get that big on a regular basis. You got to go up north for that. Now, if I get a guy, he didn't book with me, but he called me and he's like, hey, I want to go hunting. I'm like, sounds good. Let's go. And he's like, I got to talk to the family, this and that. He's like, you can't guarantee me a lion, but you at least show me a lion track? And I was like, absolutely, I can do that part.
Jared sent me 3 this week already.
So send him a picture.
Yeah.
There's your lion track. Give me my money.
There, $1,500 here.
I love those guys. The guys that actually love to hunt and are just, they get it. They've been on guided hunts before. and they understand that it's not a guaranteed thing, those are the fun guys.
Yeah.
What really sucks are the guys that's never been on a guided hunt before, and they think you walk on water and you somehow are magical with these dogs. Those guys are frustrating because you could, like this weekend, I got on the same female twice and she kicked my butt both days in a row. I cut her track Friday, or me and Derek cut her track Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Got her jumped at 4. We ran around in this wash chasing her until dark. Never caught her. I went back in there the next day, got her jumped at 9. Dogs got hung up underneath a tree. They weren't false treeing, but they were blowing up the bottom of this tree just grubbing. And it was a big tall one. So maybe she went up it, came back down it, and took off again. And all I had to do was push the dogs 10 feet away from that tree and they took off screaming again down the wash. And by 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was probably 10 miles behind her compared to where I started in the morning. Now you have to explain that to a guy that thinks you walk on water and your dogs are magical on what happened.
And he just gave you $5,000.
And he just gave you $5,000.
There you go. There's that stress I was talking about.
There's that. But when you talk to the guys on the phone before they book, you can kind of be like, "No, dude, you get the feelings of I'm probably not the right fit for you."
Plus, Jared is only one hunting. Jared's hunting. These big guys. We've talked about this too, Jared. They got when you see their trees all over social media. There's 5 different houndsmen, not just 5 dogs. 5 different houndsmen. And you're like, what'd they sell that hunt for? $15,000, and everybody's getting the cut, or you got
like me. I charge $5,000 for 7 days, and it's just me. I might have another kid come and help when he can. That kid is a dang good lion hunter. I love having him. But you start putting 3-4 guys, and it's just like no one's making money at that point, unless you start charging $15,000, $10,000.
Well, and I've got to talk to Mike Root quite a bit about it. But Mike is so entertaining. You'd probably pay $5,000 just to go hang out with him for 5 days.
And that's when it comes. That's when it comes to the experience of it all.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy come from California, and these guys paid big money just to go tuna fishing. Big money, and they got there Thursday, and we had such a good time Thursday. By 8 and 9 o'clock that night, he says, "Man, it's well worth the money already," and we hadn't even got started hunting yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the experience is a big
experience
part of it.
is what. Yeah, that's.
Yep.
That's what would be so good about going out and setting up a camp somewhere, and having campfires and cooking and telling stories. I mean, and that basically that's what Mike does. He packs them in somewhere, and it's an adventure in of itself without even catching a lion.
And that's what he does. That's what he does for 10 days. He sells 10-day hunts, right?
10-day hunts, I believe, and then I think if he likes you, then they can always come back. He told me that he had one guy that hunted with him like 68 days or something crazy like that, and he said didn't catch him a lion. He said the guy would stay with him for 6 or 7 days and have to go. He said, and then I'd have another hunter come in, and I'd catch that guy a lion on the second day. And this guy'd come in, we'd hunt for another whatever. He said, and he'd leave, and then that guy was just unlucky, really.
Yep.
But pleasant guy, always got to come back, and I imagine eventually Mike, got him a lion.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll guarantee you, when you sign up with someone like Mike, you're going for the adventure. There's I've hunted with him. It's an adventure.
And like Jared was saying, when you vet your clients, when you got a guy that just wants to come for 2-3 days, he's probably not filthy stinking rich. You got a guy who can take 10 days off and pay for that and come hunt 10 days and then come back another 10 days. The guy has money. He wants to go out there. He wants to get out there and do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know.
Okay. I argued with everybody except Chris tonight. Chris, what can I pick a fight with you about?
Oh, here's a good one. I'm gonna go back to Tim's. I have a subject that needs to be covered. Houndsmen taking trappers' traps because they have trashy dogs that get caught in them. That's a fight. There's a fight.
Let me tell you something about these stinking trappers too.
Here we go, guys.
I don't have anything against trapping. I mean, there's nothing in,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like that one guy told me, he said, hey, you got to watch out for these trappers because they're as sneaky as those coyotes they trap. I had a trapper that trapped bobcats in this old desert here. He said, he trapped them for a living. And that's what he did for the last 20 years. He trapped for a living. Said he don't trap coyotes, but he had said, I was with him and I helped him for a couple weeks. And, but then I started running the dogs and everything, and I called him and said, hey, I said, let me know where your sets are, where you're trapping, and I'll just stay out of that area. I'll go hunt somewhere else. He wouldn't tell me. He was scared to death somebody's going to be stealing his fur. He even thought I was. I told him, man, I don't have to do that. We never talked again after that. Yeah, we did. We had a couple more conversations, but they weren't real pleasant. But no, I don't have anything. Trappers work in the area say, hey, let me know where your line runs, or whatever, and I'll go somewhere else. Because they don't want our dogs in their traps, and we don't want our dogs in their traps.
Well, I mean, and it's a live trap. Right.
Yeah, they are, except for a snare or conibear, they're all live traps.
Oh, yeah, foothold trap doesn't hurt them.
And we got GPS. We all whine about this, and that's our big argument against the anti-hunters. The GPS is to keep the dog safe. So when you got we had a dog. My buddy had a dog get caught in a trap. It was a live trap, and it was a wolf trap, and we knew the wolf trappers were up there. But when you got a dog that's in one spot, you probably know it's going to be in a trap. So you can go to that spot and get your dog.
Sometimes you can hear them. Well, the thing I had against this guy is he got old and he couldn't set foothold trap anymore. So he started putting in neck snares. And I had a dog getting one of his neck snares. And that's when him and I had a big confrontation. Mm-hmm. Now, I've had up here in the Bighorn Sheep Range, I've had a dog get in foothold snares that they set for those lions. And it doesn't hurt them, but it hurts you because they turn into an alligator when you try to get them out of it.
Oh, and then Rick said trappers have to put signs up in Kentucky. I don't think they have to do that in Arizona or New Mexico, do they?
It's illegal to trap you can't trap on public land in New Mexico anymore.
Live traps?
Yeah, you can put box traps or whatever.
Yeah.
Live traps.
So I don't see the problem with. I understand if you have leg holds and whatever, but now it's just the live traps. So why would you take his trap? Unless it's on private property, then take it. But
I would never take a trap anyway. I mean, I had dogs, get in footholds. I mean, it's no big deal to get them out. Like I said, you got to be able to grab them by the snoot and hold their jaw shut so they don't bite you, and then.
Yeah,
because even your best friend will bite the snot out of you when he's got a foothold trap on him.
Oh yeah, Choya will test that friendship.
That'll do it too.
Oh goodness, yep. I'd rather get in a foothold trap than get Choya. I tell you that.
Really?
But I mean, taking the trap, that's just like he said too down here. It's like taking a dog.
Yeah, that's stealing. That's all that is stealing.
Yeah. So if he gets in your trap and the trapper takes your dog. Is that fair game now since he took his traps? Oh, fine. Next time I trap your dog, I'll leave your collar there and I'll take your dog. Go turn him into the Humane Society local one and let him cut him up, neuter him, spay him. That's what they do.
Okay, this is a good segue into our topic. How far would you go to avoid a trapper?
How far would you go?
How far do you, Jared? How far do you go? How far from when you leave your house?
Oh.
And you got a guy that called you. He's really rich. Calls you up. He says, I want a Tom. I got $10,000 here. You take me to go get a hunt. How far are you going to drive to go try to find it? You don't have to tell us where it's at. Your most successful area where you would go and just hit it hard trying to get this guy a $10,000 tom.
Probably 14 hours north.
You'd go to the snow country.
Nevada.
Nope.
I don't blame you.
Yep.
I understand. That's a
Idaho.
smart answer right there.
Yeah, Montana.
Those people that call you and say, I want the world's biggest tom for 10 grand, they're not going for an experience.
They want something to hang on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want something to hang on the wall. They're not going down and be like, hey, look at all this Mexican trash in their little camps. They don't care to see that.
That's a good answer.
And that's
Jared.
exactly where canned hunts was formed back in the day.
Yeah, and all those old timers did. Let me tell you what.
Man, I would have had a blast.
Back in the old days.
I think for training
man,
reasons, those canned hunts would be
Just a
great.
canned hunt. You know, because now, I'm not saying we need canned hunts, by the way, but there's so many wild lions in the dirt right now.
Why don't? Is it illegal to put a tracking collar on a lion?
Probably.
Well, it's harassment, wildlife harassment.
Yeah.
Don't ask me
I'm
where that
betting
idea.
so.
Don't ask me how I came up with that idea.
Yeah.
There
Just
was
remind
a
me.
female.
Just remind me later, Brett, to send you that frequency we talked about.
You know,
There was a female lion caught and killed over here in Arabella on the Capitans. And the guy that killed the lion said, oh crap, I killed a lion with a collar on it.
Hey,
So he calls the game department. Hey, you need your collar back? We don't have any collars.
Oh.
What do you mean? That opened up a can of worms.
now why is Tim calling a dog trashy that gets in a trap?
Well, if they got, in the old days, we used all kinds of stuff for trap. I don't know what the rules are for trapping these days. We might have to get the Arizona Trapping Association on to talk about it.
Keep the dog because he got in the trap.
Oh, is he trashing on the little? Because they use those.
Well, he says
Tweety
keep the
things
collar too. I don't know. They're having a conversation between themselves. I might have missed part of it. Keep
We're
the collar
eavesdropping.
too. It's probably worth more than the trashy dog that got caught. Come on now.
dogs can be curious, all because it doesn't smell like
Yeah,
a lion.
exactly.
I'm going to check it out.
I mean, yeah.
Which Tim is this?
Tim B.
Tim.
When I ran a trap line and I had hounds, my hounds quit being trashy on the trap scent, on the trap bait and all that, because every time they got their foot caught in a trap, they got my foot caught in their ass before I turned them loose. And they thought,
Well, if they're using bobcat scent or lure, does that make them trashy?
They're curious.
doesn't
They go
matter.
smell. They just watch dogs. You just go hunt your dogs.
Yeah.
Free cast them out through there. Watch them how they smell under trees and smell here and smell there. They're looking for what they're supposed to trail, and they get a little curiosity by smelling some baited scent out there, and they're. Jeez, come on, Benny.
Probably Rick. Live trap. I call them live traps. Are they box traps? Is that what they call them other places?
Box traps, yeah.
Because
How
we use
far
coyote scent. You don't think a coyote? I mean, a coyote goes in and none of your male dogs go mark over top of a coyote.
Oh yeah,
scent pole.
Crap right on top of it.
Yes, absolutely. It doesn't mean they're trashy. It doesn't mean they're trashy and trying to trail it and catch it.
Good job,
If
Tim.
your dog's not
Good
a
job
trap
making
dog,
Brett mad.
if you don't have a trap dog that is because all of those different baits and all of those different scents and calls and lures, every dog is going to go smell them, and the only ones that don't are the dogs that are on the trap line with you all the time and learn.
They probably won't trail a lion either.
Not a cold one.
Not a cold one, exactly. Oh man, I guess I've been in a mood tonight.
I know.
How far
Well,
would
he's
you
on
guys
everybody.
drive for a phone call lion?
How far would I drive for a phone call lion?
Yep.
Say like
Not
right
as
now
far as
it's
Cody.
So it's 7:00 at night right now, and I got a phone call. Said, "Hey, we found a drag mark and fresh kill, across the road." I'm sure I would drive 6 or 7 hours.
Yep.
I think it
As
just
long
depends
as
on
I
what's
could get
going
there
on.
before sunup, absolute.
And if it came from a trustworthy source, because
Yes.
Yeah,
I've drove for a
reliable.
lion track that was somebody's big old spade foot dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But yeah, I caught this little lion over here. This was pretty good. I got a phone call the night before, said, "Hey, a lion came into my yard and killed my little dog." And of course, right away I thought it was a coyote, I guess. And I said, "Oh, because it was a lady called me. And she was pretty hysterical." And I said, "Are you sure it was a lion?" She said, "Sir, I threw rocks at it. I threw everything in my yard at it, and I know it was a lion." So I knew. But I only had a 30-minute drive over there to go catch it, so it wasn't that big a deal.
Yep.
Well, I go through that story with Cody King. What was that? 2-3 hours from you, and he
Cody
drove
King
14
would
hours.
drive to South America
Oh,
to
he would.
catch a lion.
Yeah.
And he goes and catches them, I mean, frequently all over, in Texas and then down in Mexico, a lot of places.
And that's somebody who has an established company that can leave because he has established people working at his company.
Sure, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And Cody,
Mm-hmm.
he's a younger man, and I mean, I don't think he sleeps. I honestly don't, because he runs bobcats all night long and then works all day and then goes chases lions wherever he gets a phone call.
Didn't
I don't think he
Mm-hmm.
sleeps.
didn't he say he does everything in a 4-hour block?
I don't know. Did he say that? I
I
can't
think he
remember.
did. Yeah.
So he'll sleep for 4 hours, and he doesn't have. It's like, well, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I got to get up. No, if that's 3 hours into his 4-hour block, I'll see you at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Where in the hell are you, Tim?
Idaho.
This guy's got the best dogs in the world. I know where I'm going to go buy a dog from next.
Hey, that's another thing though. When you guys are buying dogs and you're worried about them, are you buying them from reputable people or people that you know, or you know?
So
I think it depends on what you're doing with your dogs. Personally, I'm not a superstar. So if someone says, "Here's a dog," I'll try it out. I don't care.
Well, I think
I've gotten dogs that were, I know they were troubled dogs, and they worked great with me. Listened, ran with my dogs great, trailed great. Just did not work for the other guy.
if you're in the market for a dog and you got the money and you're trying to buy a dog and somebody offers you a dog, says, "Yeah, I got this hound, he's broke, $5,000, whatever," and then you do a little research on the guy who's selling the dog, find out who he is, if he's trustworthy, if he whatever the story is. Somebody will say, "Yeah, hell yeah, he's got really good dogs," whatever.
I'd point you in that way, but I'm blind.
I have a reference for my dogs, Brett. What do you mean a reference? Explain yourself. A reference.
People who hunted
he
with
has a
them.
buddy that hunted with him and said that dogs could jam up.
Oh, he's talking about cell
Mhm.
dogs. I'm still pissed off about doesn't ever let his dogs smell a piss post.
Oh. But when I lucked out when I first got into the game. I bought a puppy from an older gentleman in Montana, and we kind of became friends a little bit. And he's all, "Hey, do you want to go not lion hunting? Check out bobcats in Oregon?" And I was like, "Yeah." Went to Oregon, met this other guy. He hunts everywhere. He knows a bunch of guys, been in the dog world forever. And I still talk to him to this day. And how I met the guys in southern Arizona was from him, because I was trying to learn how to dry ground lion hunt in Nevada, and no one dry ground hunts in Nevada. I don't get why, but no one does it. So I'm like, "Well, who do I talk to?" And he's like, "Give these guys a call down here." He's like, there's some catching mother effers." And I was like, "All right, give these guys a call." I was still living in Nevada. Came down, started buying puppies from these guys down here, became friends with them. And now, if I want to buy a dog, I just talk to them.
There
It's
you go.
just, "Hey, what do you know about this guy?" Because they saved me about $7,000, $8,000 on a dog. And I called him like, hey, this guy, he's got this dog. And he's like, well, what dog is it? And I said the name. He's like, don't do it. It ain't worth it.
He was
Perfect.
straight up
All
with you.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
that.
then,
Yeah. Doing the research, finding out about the people who are selling the dog. Yeah, exactly.
yep. And then, back to when I had to go buy a dog last year, I called my buddy up and I was like, hey, you got anything for sale? I'm kind of in a tight spot. And he's like, man, I got nothing. He's like, but I'll ask around. And I'm like, no, don't ask around. Do you have anything for sale? And he's all, let me think on it. And he calls
A
me
lot of
back like
people
2
tell you
weeks
that.
later. Yeah. And he calls me back 2 weeks later and he's like, I might have something for you, but she's not cheap. That's fine. I need one right now because right now what I'm doing, I'm killing everything I got. I'm hunting them too hard. And he's like, well, I got a hunt coming up. Let me think about it. I don't know yet if I'm going to sell her. He calls me at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning when I'm at work and said, hey, if you want this dog, meet me at the gas station. I'm coming through Tucson right now. I call my wife. I'm like, hey, go pull the cash out of the bank. Meet me at Circle K. I'm buying a dog. And I'm in a work truck. And I was like, I need your truck with the dog box because you're going to have to take the dog home. And pick that dog up at a gas station. And she's a great dog.
Worth it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Worth it. She still chases a monkey, but he was honest with me about it.
I
He's
think
like,
most of those
she
guys.
will run the heck.
I think most of those guys that have the dogs for good money will say, "Come run with me. Come watch her work."
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Come hunt
Yeah.
with me for a couple days. Exactly.
I
That-
never
that
did
way-
that
You
invitation.
hit the nail on the head, Chris. I mean, I think if a person was going to be selling a $10,000 dog, then he ought to be willing to take that person who's going to buy it for a 7-day hunt and say, let's hunt this dog. Let's see how he does. That's a good point.
That's
Now
even
they'll
better
do that.
than
They'll say that, but they'll be like, "Let's
taking
go
them on a
hunt your
trial
country."
yourself. I
Do
think if
what
you
though?
take them on a trial yourself,
Oh, they'll say, "Let's go hunt your country. You're not coming to my country."
Yeah. There you go. Let's go hunt where you're
But
going
I
to hunt.
think
Damn,
Yeah.
guides
you
get
do
all
that-
territorial.
when you do that, you're hunting that dog in its own environment, and so you see the potential of that dog.
Mhm.
Yep.
You're with the dog is with the other dogs that it knows. It's with the person that it knows, and you're not taking it into a brand new environment and expecting it to shine where it may or may not.
Yep.
So we can set the rules here for how you should buy a dog. You should, if you're going to buy a $10,000 dog, you should be able to go hunt, get the dog and the owner or the guy to come hunt with you for 5 or 6 days with that dog, and then also get the dog on a 30-day trial. You hunt by yourself with a money back guarantee. That's if you're paying $10,000. If you're only paying $1,500, $2,500 for a dog, you're on your own, buddy.
Yep.
Take your
chances.
Started dog.
If you're selling a dog, don't sell to a jackwagon that's a blowhard.
That's true. But how do you find that out?
Those guys will cause you trouble.
How do you find that
get a
out?
guy- Well,
After the fact, Brett.
Well, yeah, it could be, but you talk to those guys that you can kind of they talk the lingo a little bit, but they say something you're just like, that makes zero sense. Like those guys that say they drag
Now
down
you're
lion
hurting my feelings.
Well, no, but like the guy that says
Leave Brett out of it.
Don't talk
a
about
guy
me like
that says
that.
he dragged down lion hunts. A guy that says he dragged down lion hunts, and he's all so the guy's an expert drag down lion hunter, say, but he also says he's never lost a lion off a jumped race.
Well, it
there you
depends
go.
what size was that can. We get back to the can deal.
Yeah. But I mean, if you are hunting drag ground lions, you're gonna get burned.
Oh man,
I've gotten outran 4 times this year, and this last weekend last Saturday night I was mad.
2 of them were this week,
I was
weren't
walking around the house until 10 o'clock trying to figure out how I'm going to catch her. And I couldn't find her Sunday, but You know, when a guy says something
Have
like
you ever
that,
thought
it's
about
kind of
what
like,
adding a
you
different
know,
type of dog in for a jumped race?
well, I just made a phone call to my buddy that I, get pups from and stuff, and he's all, dude, it is what it is. I told him where I was at because he hunts the same country, and he's just like, it is what it is. He's like, man,
Well,
I had a lion. The dogs were screaming down the bluffs. Next thing you know, the lion takes a grassy finger down. Bam, the dogs hit the brakes and just start pecking.
Cold
whoa,
trolling
And that's
whoa.
what
again.
happened to me.
Listen, Mr. E. Anderson. Don't you jump in on that crap. Don't
He's
you
starting
start
it
it.
again. He's
We will
stirring.
destroy you. We will destroy you.
He's stirring the
I
pot, isn't
just
he?
I just stirred the pot with I was on the phone with Chris Powell, and the last conversation before we were done, I said something about turning the sin off, and it got into a good argument about turning the
I
sin
don't
off.
think I don't think the lion I was on shut its scent off, like, because you know when they do. Like, you can see when that happens. You can see. I've only seen it, and seen it in the bluffs where I know that scent should be holding,
Yeah.
and it's not.
It's not
Now,
conditions that are causing it. It's something the lion did.
yeah, yeah, like that female. When she was running her, there's these big long fingers of rocks. When she was going up and down them, the dogs were pegging her, just screaming down, 400 or 500 yards in front of me. I can't keep up. And then all of a sudden, bam, she'd take a hard right turn or left turn and go down a grassy finger into a wash. Now I'm sprinting, trying to get up to the dogs and pushing them down the finger to get in the wash.
Sprinting.
Yeah.
No, no.
my
He
mule,
does.
I've never sprinted, but my mules ran pretty hard before.
Yeah. I I was an amateur rock climber there for 20 minutes.
I gotta come. I'm gonna bring an extra mule, and I'm gonna come down, and you and I are gonna go lion hunting, Jared.
That sounds good.
I'll
I
bring an
would love
I
extra
to.
told
mule.
him.
Let's go hunt.
Just
We'll get Chris together. We'll get Benny.
Yeah.
You'll have to. We'll go down there and hunt with him, and I'll film it.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
You know what we should do? It'll make his whole world different. We should just have him meet us down at the Taylor place.
That'd be fun. That's good country too.
I
Real
would
good
probably
country.
cry a little bit driving there.
You're driving away, you'd cry because
Yeah.
you didn't live closer to it.
I'd be so excited. I'd be so excited driving down there. I'd start crying. I'd get so excited.
That's where we should just have our little get together down there. Let's take the Starlink and we'll go live right from there and have a recap every night of how the hunt went. Let's plan it. When's a good time, Benny? You set it up. We'll be there.
Yep.
Let me get January out from under my belt and see what I got lined up.
Perfect.
I bet early spring is pretty nice down there, isn't it?
Oh, I'll
You want to talk
guarantee you,
about the best
April.
lion hunting there is?
April.
It's in Idaho in the spring.
Oh, really?
That's what I'm going to tell everyone.
Oh,
Sorry, Tim. They're coming to you.
Yep.
Tim. I want to go hunt with him. I'm going to see how those dogs don't mark over a coyote piss.
Tim. Now you got.
You guys are all talking about scents and stuff. I had a dog that was worthless. I mean, 100% worthless, and I caught a lion because of her.
What'd she do?
Those.
So she was a dog.
That's just a dog.
I'm
She's
free
seen a cat?
casting. I'm free casting these dogs in Nevada, and it is rock. The ground is rock hard. You're not gonna find nothing. You're just hopefully the dogs blow up and take off. The ground's rock hard. And all of a sudden, she just goes and buries her head underneath this juniper tree. And the other dogs are up on the ridge and kind of milling around in the wash. And I walk over there. It's a lion scratch. I put my dogs on it. I yell for my good dogs. They take off. We had it caught in 2.5, 3 hours later.
Would you have passed it
And
if you didn't catch her?
Yeah, we would have walked. I don't know if we would have missed it or bumped it down the wash, as a couple 100 yards later, 20 yards later. But the dogs were up ahead and they walked over it or didn't go by it or what have you. And when I hollered for them and they hit that scratch, they took it, and we were off to the game. We cold trailed for a little bit, and then all of a sudden that lion hit a finger and went downhill. And as soon as he went downhill into that wash, they blew up on that downhill slant, and boom, he was treed. He didn't even jump. He went right up a tree. I think he was 10 feet up on the other side of the wash. As soon as they jumped in, he went up. But if it wasn't, and that dog never trailed and never treed. I had her for a year and a half.
Jeez.
We called her Mama. Her name was Finley, but we called her Mama because she threw great pups. She was out of my bone dog. She threw great pups, but she didn't do a dang thing.
What did you ever answer? I can't remember how far you drive to hunt. I think you avoided that question for some reason.
No, for the $10,000 lion.
No. I sidetracked it. Just typically, you got
Jared's
100.
in good country. Jared's in good country. He don't have to drive far. He already went to where he needs to hunt.
Well, I mean, you drive an hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes.
The Chiricahuas, I've hunted the Chiricahuas. That's 3.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
I have to learn a lot of country because, there's a hell of a good lion hunter down here. He's a young kid, dang good lion hunter. He killed 2 toms out of my country this week.
So now you're going to have to travel for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until something moves in. You have to stack hunters up when you're guiding, to stack hunters up and up your odds of success. You have to know where a bunch of lions are, where the circles are, what canyons you can get into, So, like Sunday, I didn't find that female by 11 o'clock. We barked on monkeys all morning. It was driving me nuts. So I was just, instead of shocking the dogs for 2.5 hours, I just said, piss on it. Let's go back to the truck. I filled up the truck and Aravaca, and we just went, and I'm going to go learn this new country over here. I looked on it on OnX at night.
How far was that?
About another hour out of my way from home.
So you drive that far, you drive home that night?
Yep. Just, I just went out, saw a good road on OnX, putts down the road, cut a lion track on that good dusty road, and sent it to Chris. And I was just like, hey, neat. This is perfect. I like it here. And then it took me 2.5 hours to get the hell out of there because I was like, yeah, this road wraps all the way around. Perfect. I can, take the buggy and do a little circle down here. Lock gate. Turn around. Go another way. Another lock gate.
That's just learning the country.
Yeah, you got to learn the country
Sure.
if you're going to do something.
And that's exactly what those buggies are good for. God,
absolutely.
Just, and it really where you need to be running around where you're not is in the summers. Just running around, just learning every road.
Yep.
How far did you used to drive, Benny?
Well, the Guadalupes were 2 hours most of the time. Capitans are 2 hours. Of course, Texas is all day. Arizona's half a day, most of the day. It didn't matter. I've been one. I was just like that too. I left the house one morning at 1 o'clock and went to the Ladrones over there toward Berlin, hunted all day, and was back home by 8:30 that night.
Chris?
So,
I mean, I drive 4 hours to come down here and catch nothing. Does that count?
Well, you drove 4 hours. Catching doesn't come into it. You get up in the morning or the night before you're making plans. Say, hey, I got a few days. Where am I going to go? And this is not, you're not the pressure of having a paid hunter. Just, you're going out there to hunt for your own enjoyment, getting your dogs out.
I'll drive all over the state. I'll drive the state. And where I live, it's 4 hours down the Jared, maybe 6 pulling a trailer. It's 4 hours down here where I'm at now. So, I mean, but I don't really leave the state to hunt. I stay in Arizona. So, it's 6 hours. So I'll drive all over the state.
Yeah. Anderson Ladrones are awfully rough. And I think that's the rattlesnake capital of the world is right there in the Ladrones.
I mean, you'll drive
that's
anywhere in New Mexico, right, Brett?
I don't go. That's why I thought of this title and this subject is what happens to me as I'll get up, and I've caught 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lions within 40 minutes of where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's over years. I mean, years time. And I've trailed toms through all this country. I've trailed tom right behind my house. But that's what
Do you ever
happens.
get bored?
Do I get bored?
Like just hitting the same country?
Not, and that's where I'm different than a lot of people. Man, if I'm out with my dogs and I'm on my mule and I'm riding through the country, I don't know why, it just makes me feel good. I know it's weird, but I do.
No,
But I
I
do
was
think I
the
get
same
back that
way.
evening when you say bored. I get back that evening and I didn't hit a track and whatever, the dogs trashed on something, whatever happened. I get back that night and I think, this is stupid. I need to be going to better country. I need to be going to exploring. I got time. I mean, I could go to better country, but it happens in the morning. I'll get up, and it might be a little bit of that old man thing creeping in on me. I'll get up in the morning, and I'll look, and I'll think, what happens if that Tom came through here last night? What happens if he, cut through here? And I'm driving 4 hours up the road, and I could have been right here and got, because he comes through here. I mean, they come through here regularly because I'm not that far from Mexico. And they come, those toms, as well as anybody, they have some big old circles, especially out here in this desert. And you always think that. You think the one time I could go up here and might be able to trail him and catch him, and I'm off in Timbuktu in country I don't know. Yeah. I like what it was Chris that said maybe that's what summers are for, is for exploring new country.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, when you were over
OnX
there
is a
at
great place.
Aravaipa, when you went over there, did you find any lion sign at Aravaipa?
Who? I didn't go to Aravaipa. I don't even know where Aravaipa is.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, there's always some lion sign down in there, but that's where I just stopped there to get fuel, and then I drove an
Whiting
hour out of.
station still there?
Do
Is there
what?
Whiting gas station still there?
Gene Moore says turn loose at the house. I've done that a lot of times.
I was gonna say he has done that before.
I will ride right out of I put a gate into the BLM property right behind my house, and I saddle up a mule and turn the hounds loose and ride right out. I've caught 3 bobcats right up here. Now I make it sound like I caught 3 bobcats. I had 3 bobcats that jumped in a tree when my dogs ran by, is what it amounted to.
That's all right.
Still a
Jared,
tree.
the reason I asked that, Sam Derringer had that country cleaned out for a long time. It was hard to find any lion tracks.
With Mexico being right there, you're gonna find lions. I mean, they're gonna come across the border, but it still sucks hunting. It's still in the dirt, and
man, it's tough. It's tough. Even like where I went day before yesterday, I took a pack mule and I made a big old circle up into this country, and there's just a few little draws that you might be able to find a lion track in. The rest of it's terrible to try to find a track in.
Yep.
So you just kind of ride through there, and my dogs aren't broke real good. Of course, I'm not trying to sell them either, but they'll trail a lion. But I just, they're pretty easy. They're easy to. I have learned how to read them. I can read them and see what they're doing, what they're dicking around with, and hey, you guys, come on, let's go, and they'll go with me. As a matter of fact, the video I got coming out, you can see they're messing around with a fox. I mean, I know it's a fox. I mean, and I just holler at them, 2 or 3 times, and here they come. They know they're not supposed to be.
You guys quit lollygagging. Quit lollygagging.
Yeah, lollygagging. That's a word that John Klump told me. They were smelling. John watched them there for a minute. He said, those dogs are lollygagging. All right, come on, let's go.
I knew that. Yeah.
I don't know. But like I got a buddy, he plays with the same 3 lions every chance he gets. He goes right out behind his house, and that's it. I mean, I don't think he's ever left behind his house this whole year,
Well,
besides one time.
this lion I caught down here, I caught her 3 times. Caught her 3 times, and then I got a good look at her. She was starving to death. I mean, she was an old lion, and I mean her hip bone. She looked awful. I got a picture of her here somewhere. But I finally called my buddy, and I said, "Hey, you want to kill a lion?" I said, "I got one caught down here that she needs to be put out of her misery for sure." And so we went down there and we caught her again, and he shot her, and he had her what do you call it, taxidermied.
He had all the wrinkles rubbed out of her.
I don't know. I've never seen the hide since he got it done.
Got a bigger form to make it fill out just a little bit.
He's pretty bloody though. He didn't mind harvesting that lion.
There's a lion in a bar in Nevada, and the lion looks like he got stung by a bee.
The head?
It's all swelled. The whole body's just all swelled up. And I'm like, man, that thing looks like he got stung by a bee. And then behind the bar, they got a picture of the lions and the dogs treeing. And there's 3 lions in the tree. It was 3 kittens. And they just had this lion stuffed with so much foam. He looked like he got stung by a bee.
Object in mirror is bigger than it seems.
Yeah, the head was a basketball, And it was an old, and I think that photo was probably in the 70s. But
I can't find that picture. Anyway, Chris, so where did you hunt right out your back door? Do you drive somewhere?
Well, up north I'm only like 20 minutes from anywhere. I've hunted out my back door actually, and
do you have a chance of catching something right there?
Oh yeah, there's one right there on Ortega. A little female runs around. There's one that runs down Silver Creek. There's lions. My buddy, his boss calls him, says a lion just crossed the road right here, right in the middle of town. So he takes his dogs over there, and he just getting started. You know what I mean? He's hit some hound trials. He's got some coons, and he let his dogs out where that lion crossed nothing. So he leashes ones up, goes in the tomb racks, and that lion was laying in those tomb racks, and it swiped his dog and took off running into the houses. I'm like, I would have let it go. I would have chased it through the houses. They would have known I was there. And no one knew about it. I was actually at a soccer game the next day, and I talked to a game warden, and she's like, I didn't even hear about it. So she texts another warden. No one heard about it. No one reported it. Just lion running around. I think what people understand is these lions, they're more places than you think. These deer hunters, archery deer hunters, I can guarantee you those guys have been within 30 yards of a lion more than they've ever even thought of. I've had lions on the far west of over by Yucca, Arizona. I've been up a road, came back around, and there was a lion over our tracks following us.
That's how I got into hounds. Well, kind of. But I used to be really big into predator calling when I grew up in South Dakota, and then I moved to Montana. And when I moved to Montana, I was like, I'm going to call in a wolf and a mountain lion. It's going to happen. Well, wolves are really smart, and I'm not, so that didn't work. And then there's this one canyon. I cut some old lion tracks in, and I was like, I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to, hike out and try to call a lion in. So I didn't cut any lion tracks. So I'm just sitting in this open meadow, and I'm leaned up against a rock ledge, and I'm just doing, the stupid the little doe bleep or whatever it is. I do that for like an hour. A couple mule deer does come over prancing, ears all perked up. Don't find nothing. Start walking back to the truck. As soon as I hit that bottom in the willows, there was lion tracks on my tracks. And I told that story to a guy. I used to hang out with at the bar. He was an older gentleman, and I've always trained waterfowl dogs, and we would talk dogs all the time. And he had bird dogs at the time, and I was just like, man, I went out lion hunting, and this lion walked on my boot prints, and I was like, I can't. I've been in there calling a couple times. This is the closest I've ever been to him, and he he looked at me. He's like, "Do you want to see the coolest thing in the world?" And he showed me he had 3 walker dogs with a lion on a ledge in Montana, and I was like, "How do I do that?" And he told me, he's like, "You need to go on Big Game Houndsman right now." He's like, "There's a walker dog for sale out of Battleground, Washington." He's like, "You need to go get that dog." So then that's how I got started. Was in talking to an old guy in a bar.
And the rest is history. Now you're
No, man,
broke.
he helped me. Yeah, now I got the dog cheap though, right?
Yep. That's how it starts.
Yeah.
A picture.
Well,
a picture.
just like that kid came up to me at the gas station Saturday morning. He's all, "Hey, you hunt lions?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I want to get into it." And I was just like, "Okay." He's like, "How many days do you hunt a year?" And I was like, "My goal is 150 days a year." And he's like, "That's a lot of time." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." I was like, "You have to commit at minimum 2 days a week."
Oh yeah.
At minimum 2 days a week, you know? And he's like, "Well, I don't have that time." And I was like, "You probably shouldn't do it. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
between dog food, vet bills, gasoline, miscellaneous BS, you're probably spending $20,000 a year on stuff."
Oh yeah.
Easy.
You know, Dustin over at Cold Strike, I think he posted a video and said, "What would you tell somebody trying to get into hounds?" And don't say "don't do it," like a legitimate answer.
Yeah.
I was like, "Find a mentor. Find a mentor. Go
Yeah.
run. Don't just go
That's
start buying dogs or taking dogs from people they don't want."
here's that
Yep.
old female. I finally found the picture.
Oh, that's
Look
a
at
cool
those
looking
teeth.
female. That's cool.
What teeth?
See, like that's the one you need to get with her mouth open
Mm-hmm.
You mean
when you mount her or taxidermy.
look at that.
Yeah,
She was walking
rough.
dead.
Oh yeah,
She was walking dead.
Yeah.
You did her a favor.
Yeah, and I got her, and I treated her 3 times, so I got some use out of her too. So,
Yeah.
and she,
But she didn't look that bad.
I now I treated her 3 times, but I trailed her 3 days prior to that. But there's some big bluffs on that mountain, and I'd get up in there and I couldn't finish it out. I mean, I'd trail her up into there. We didn't jump her up into there, but I trailed her up into there, and we never could locate her up in there.
That's frustrating too when your dogs are running on a rock ledge back and forth, and you're all throwing rocks down there trying to figure out where they
Trying to
went.
get them located. That's that was a valuable lesson I learned from Mike Root. Is that patience? I mean, I had no patience when I was with him. We trailed that lion off into one canyon, then trailed it back in the other one, and the dogs got up on this bluff back up in there, and it wasn't even a rough bluff, but it was real bouldery, a lot of boulders in there. The dogs weren't even opening up that much. They were just kind of milling around here and there. And I've told this story a jillion times because it was a valuable lesson for me. He said, let's just wait. And it seemed like we waited for hours. I know it wasn't that long, but it seemed like it. And then, I mean, just right there where the dogs were, right there, all of a sudden, whoa, 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 there was a lion on a rock.
So my buddy, I might have screwed this lion up if it was going to be me. I was talking to my buddy today, and they cold trailed this Tom a little bit, and they weren't moving it, so I pulled him off of it, and we did a circle. We didn't find nothing. On the way back, we hit the same spot, and my dogs are, peckerwooding around with it, pecking around, not getting nothing. He's yelling at him, "Let's go." He's just bail off the ridge. Boom, go to treed. and he's
Everybody froze up again. You're going to have to finish your story, Jared. We froze up.
okay. So the puppies went down off the ridge, and he's like, I was going down there to smack them because he said they were blowing up in the bottom. He's like, I was almost 100% sure it was a skunk. Then my old dogs went down there, started blowing up. He went down there as that big old thumper tom that they were cold trailing on top of the ridge in a tree.
That's, well,
when
I caught this lion back up this country, I mean, I had 2 coyote races. I mean, pretty good races. And I mean, I lit those hounds up. Especially on the second one, I couldn't believe they had the guts to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and you know how you can do it. And I lit them up, and then we went up the canyon about, I don't know, half a mile or so. Here they start trailing again. And I thought, you dirty boogers. I didn't have any faith in them then. I was upset.
Yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
But I said in it, I think I even say it in the video. I say, well, they're going the way I want to go, so I'm going to let them go, let them go. Because they were trailing it pretty fast, really, for what I thought she'd been a lion. And we caught the lion. So
yeah,
it was
you never know.
Patience.
Yeah. You try. Yeah, you may. And then I've been the world's expert at making up stories of what happened. I can make up a good story, and I'll believe it for a long time.
Yep.
I'll talk other people into believing it.
You tell it enough, you'll believe it yourself, and you'll become believable.
Yes.
If you're thinking about getting into hounds, just listen to Mike Root's podcast, because that is probably the roughest way to start that there is imaginable. Is, hey, I'm going to do this for a living, and I've never done it before.
Yeah. You can imagine Mike Root. I mean, I have a hard time imagining Mike Root when he was young, because he's older than I am. And here, just a few years ago, I heard a story about him going to Elephant Butte Lake, which is a huge lake down here, and him deciding to just swim across it. He goes up here and he does that 20-something mile march up here with a pack on his back that they do, that death march, that memorial death march. He does that. Mm-hmm. He's a unique individual. There's no doubt about it.
Guy was born with energy, and he'll die with energy.
And he's one of the funnest guys to ever be around. I mean,
it's your lie, you're telling it. Jeremy said it's your lie, and you're telling it.
That's it. It's my lie. I can tell it how I want to tell it.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to change it, you can change it.
And
you've talked to him on the phone?
Yeah, and it's always been, 10, 20 minutes, because I wanted to learn how to pack. I ride like I'm from New York, and I want to learn how to deal with stock animals. I've always wanted.
How come you're calling Mike Root? You can call me.
I didn't have your number. I still don't have your number.
Oh.
I had to creep Mike Root's guide service number or guide service online. I was like, I wonder if this number still works. And he answered. And I was all, hey man, I'm broke, and I want to learn how to pack. Can you show me? And he's like, yeah, I got a pack fence post for the Forest Service, but
I'll show you.
He made Brett do that too.
And I never got to go because they didn't get the permits done in time, and he had some bear hunts to go do, so I didn't get to go with him. But I talked to him. He told me to call him once a week for the month of August.
No, he's a neat guy. I do. When I went up there, he called me and asked me if I could help him because he had hunters coming in, and he was having to pack the Forest Service out of the country up there. And he asked me if I'd come up there and help him. I said, sure, I'll go up there. And I went in. It was a lot of work, too. And I went up there and packed him out and everything. And he's honest as there is. He tried to pay me. he said, I'll pay you. And I said, Mike, I said, I made a video out of this. I'll make $400 off this video. That's pay enough for me. So I'd do anything in the world for Mike. I really would. He's a good guy.
Now he's gonna call you and say, "Hey Brett, you ready for another video?"
Yeah. I'd like to go lion hunting with him and video it. Like a 5 or 6 day hunt, and just stay with him. Not bring any dogs, just hunt with him and his dogs. And
I think a lot of that needs to happen now with a lot of these guys. And when you were telling all that, you said, "Oh, that's something that sticks with you." Well, it's just like, Clump saying they're just lollygagging. You're like, oh,
exactly.
And that's who's the guy that told you? Well, is it a track or is it not?
I was Orville Fletcher. He told me we're driving up the road. I'm riding with this 88-year-old man, and he stops. I mean, just stops in the road. Get out there and see if that's a lion track. Of course, this has been many years ago. Me being me, I got out, man. I got down on my hands and knees, and I was looking at that track. I was trying to make it into a lion track. He stuck his head out the window. Either it is or it isn't. I said, that's not.
Hey, that would be a good time, Brett, to share that picture you got of you down in the wash in the rocks.
That was a lion track, though. Benny took a picture of me, and I got one leg up in the air like that, and I'm down on the ground like a hound dog. We ended up catching a lion. There was some different circumstances involved in, but by golly, we caught her.
There you go.
Hey,
it was a lion.
A lion in the tree is a lion in the tree.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I did shoot that lion.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with shooting them. People, I don't know. People always down shame when you knock a female down or a young tom.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, why not? If it's legal, I'm okay with it.
I don't think the attention's on the one person doing it. I think the attention's on the guides that have 15 people out there and they're knocking down 15 of them. That's just, that number sticks to you. You know what I mean?
It could be the guides, but I mean, I know there's local deer hunters, with rich wives, and all they do in the wintertime is take their buddies out.
Mm-hmm.
How old are these guys with rich wives?
How old are the wives?
They're probably in their 40s. 40s and my age, a little bit older.
Do the rich wives have rich moms?
I don't know.
Or grandmas?
Find out.
I mean,
well,
I called my buddy up the other day, and I'm like, how is that guy a full-time guide? And he's all, his wife's a traveling nurse, man. Because all he does is guide sheep hunts. He's a really, really good sheep guide. And I'm like, you can't be just dedicated to sheep and be full-time. You can't be out there glassing sheep every day and making money at it. And he's all, his wife's a traveling nurse. I was like, well, now that makes sense.
She's gone and making good money, so he can run around and do what he wants.
Yeah, so he can go and sit in the desert in 110-degree heat and watch rams rut.
This was a young lion, and she was starving to death. This country's, the toms are the only one. When they come through, they're pretty fleshy. They're in pretty good shape because they're traveling. But these little females that try to set up residency, is that what you call it, residency?
Yeah.
Right here, they starve to death. And this is that little bitty. This is that one that came into the lady's yard and killed a dog. You can see how poor that thing is.
Yeah, that thing's rough looking.
But I turned it into the Game and Fish. I took it down there and turned it into them. But I didn't get a depredation permit, but I didn't have time to. I couldn't wait until they open up at 9:00 to go down there and get it.
Yeah. And I heard some game wardens are pretty decent about it. Like, a rancher gets on a fresh calf kill, calls you can go right there and they'll be like, "Well, we'll deal with the permit later."
I
They'll get it.
really think, I believe that when what really grabs their attention and gets you under the spotlight is when money starts changing hands. And
absolutely.
And then they have to keep an eye on guys who are charging, and I mean, just probably assuming that most guys who charge probably figure out a way to cheat a little bit.
Yeah.
That cat, how much did that cat weigh, Brett?
That last one?
That little cat, 60
Probably
pounds?
No, the little cat probably only, the old female probably weighed 45, 50. I bet this little one didn't weigh 30 pounds.
And
20.
And so here's another, one of the arguments from the antis is they say the dogs harass those, but that 30-pound, 40-pound little tiny cat killed a dog. So these 150-pound cats can kill your whole pack if they wanted to.
That one couldn't.
Maybe, no, not that one.
It killed the little dog, but we caught that sucker.
Killed the dog.
We caught that sucker on the ground, and
Mhm.
I won't go into the details, but
Yeah.
I mean, I've also watched these dogs of mine kill a badger. If you can kill a badger, you can kill a lot of stuff.
And it was enough to come in and
They
kill
get
the
the
dog
terrorist
right
name.
in front of the lady.
They get that terrorist name. They come by it honest, and I've allowed them. I've allowed them to be terrorists because I got some pictures in here of foxes I've treated and stuff too. That I'm not got a paid hunter. If they can tree a fox, I know they can tree a lion. So
absolutely.
I just go with it. I say, good dogs, let's go. I don't shoot out a fox to them, but I want to be able to call them off the tree and let's go. Bears the same way. I've treated bears that I've never killed a bear myself.
The wardens are always nice to the confidential informants. Oh, so we got undercover and CIs on this show, huh?
Yeah.
I talked to the undercover guy today.
Did you?
Which one?
Yeah.
My undercover guy.
Yeah, Chris is undercover guy.
All my kids call him undercover.
He's got
so
a
if
good
he's
dog
undercover,
box I'm trying to get from him.
So the one on his Ford or Chevy?
Yeah. That Ford there. He says he won't need it by April, so. I was like, perfect. Yeah. I'll get it from you in April then. I can use mine for the winter.
Yep.
What else? What else do we got,
that's
fellas?
A lot of information for one show.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Well, I played the devil's advocate there for a little while, picking at everybody.
You did not. You were just grouchy.
Brett was going after the people on the show. He's going after the people in the comments. Now he's going after flies.
I love, when you want to learn stuff, listen to Brett's videos with the old guys. I mean,
the old guys.
Yeah, don't listen to me.
Well, just with Richard Dickerson, he hunted 340 days a year.
Yep,
right?
That's his job. Yep.
Average 40 lions a year. That's a lot of lions.
Yeah, it is.
But 340 days a year?
Like Steve Smith said, he said there's nobody in the world that's caught more lions with a flashlight than Richard Dickerson.
Mm-hmm. But 340 days and he only caught 40. And he's one of the best to ever do it.
What I always heard around here when I was first starting and everything, they say the really good guys, a good year, they catch 12 lions. The really good guys. And the guys who were hunting full time.
Isn't that what you caught, Jared?
11.
There you go.
You suck. Kick them off.
You lacked one lion of being classified as one of the really good guys.
Almost.
You're going to have to work a little harder this year.
Yeah.
Change the code to get on the show.
Yep.
We'll change his name. Put really good guy here. -1.
Almost
-1.
Almost really good guy.
We'll just call him almost.
Almost. Yeah. Sam Derringer, he had 2 years. He caught 49 lions in a row. 2 years in a row.
Wow. Where do you
though.
go to find that many lions?
Oh, he did it right there. Sam did it right there at Klondike.
Is that
Eddie
just really
He was,
good
Lackner.
country?
It was till Sam weaned it up.
you know, but that's,
But
I
if
mean,
you
that's
can,
still tough country. That's sheep country.
Yeah,
Well,
but over there at Eddie Lackner, that rancher over there, he's
Mm-hmm.
always that ranch just makes lions. And then you figure in Eddie's deal, and Sam was there, Richard Holcomb was there, Kathy is over there. You get a bunch of people in there. Karen. I don't know where Karen hunted, but she lived right there with Richard. So you get a bunch of people in there, and then you get somebody as hardcore as Sam Derringer doing it for a living. Things can change fast.
Yep.
hmm,
But like one time I was on a dry spell. Like I didn't catch a lion March and April, and I was just mad. I was hunting hard too. Like this during COVID, so we had guys stacked up on job sites, and when I was living in Nevada, and boss came up to me, he's like, "Who wants 2 weeks off unpaid?" And I was like, "Me, I'm out. Don't worry about it. I'll leave right now." And I wasn't trailing nothing. I wasn't finding nothing. I was just mad. And I listened to Jim Farmer talk. He hunted and trailed like 240 miles and never caught a lion. And then, like last day of the lion season, someone called him that a lion ran in front of him at the river and he caught one lion the whole year. And that guy knows what he's doing. I've never
yeah.
talked to him, but I've heard good things about him.
Well,
You know?
and I tell you what happens, because I've been through it. I go through it all the time now. I don't worry about it as much, but you go for that long and you start thinking you got holes in your dogs. You think there's something wrong.
Mhm.
Something's wrong. But and then when you hit that track and you see that lion, those dogs working that track, and then you get that lion caught, then you realize, no, we just weren't bumping into, we just had a run of bad luck.
Yeah.
But
Just, that's funny. So my buddy that I talked to today, we were talking about lions and this and that, and he's like, I love lion hunting. I'm just luckier. That's what he said. I'm just
luckier.
luckier than most.
Well, yeah, and that's,
And
I
he's
mean,
really good. He's a really good lion hunter, and
is
he
he?
won't say it. I'm luckier than most.
Yeah. A lot of guys just have that knack. They have the knack of, going to the right place and doing the right
Well,
thing.
I was telling Chris this over the phone over the weekend. You have 4 types of lion hunters. You have your Googans that their dogs suck. They don't put any effort into it. They're hound owners. That's it. They might
Hey,
go out
hey,
10 times.
I take a little offense at
I'm
that.
Oh, you're not there.
I
And then you
hunted
have
with
your
him
hound
one
boots.
time.
You got to climb up the
And,
ladder, Brett.
yeah.
I'm a Guggen.
And, and then you got your hound guys. Your hound guys. They hunt when they can. They hunt 2 days a week, but they got a full-time job. They got bills to pay. Their dogs listen. Their dogs mind. They're doing okay, but they don't catch a lot. They got other obligations. And then you have your crackheads that they'll lose everything they have to catch a lion, but
Oh
they
yeah,
have to literally bust their butt to do it. And then you got your killers that they don't kill everything, but they're I call them killers. They just make it look easy.
yeah.
And it's super frustrating for
Well, you're
me
leaving
because
out.
I oh, what am I leaving out?
You're leaving out the pleasure guys.
Yeah.
And then that's how I classify myself, is I'm a pleasure houndsman. I go
Okay.
out and, like I said, if I tree a fox, it's no big deal. If they work on a bobcat track for an hour or so and we don't hardly get anywhere, but I get to watch them trail and bark and move the
Mm-hmm.
track, and I'm pretty happy with that. Now, when I was younger, I wasn't, and I heard stories about everybody. And social media is really bad about that now. You hear stories and you see pictures and you see these guys that are being real successful. And when you're young, it puts a lot of pressure on you. And you think, dang, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? I'm not having any luck, or I'm not doing any good. And I outgrew that. And now it's just, I know if I hit the right lion track, my dogs will trail it up. it doesn't bother me. It's
Yeah.
and I'm not pressured to try to show a picture of a lion. Like those 2 pictures, I think I've never showed them on social media. Of course, they're starving lions. You don't really want to pass that around. And I got some pictures of Tom's too that I've never shared too. I just don't.
But
if I start sharing them, then I don't catch one for a year. Then what do you do then?
But you do want to show those. You do want to
Yeah,
show those.
everybody say, well, what happened? You were showing
life.
those pictures. How come you haven't shown any? Then I gotta say, well, I ain't caught nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that's real life. Those starving lions are real life. You know, it's not just 200-pound Toms running around eating everything. You know, a majority of them, those little tiny lions, starving to death.
Just like that lion that I found 3 weeks ago that was killed by a lion.
Yep.
Look at that question that Rick Cooley asked.
Bring them out. I think you can. Cody
I bet you can. Cody takes his bobcat dogs and goes and catches lions. Now, he's caught so many bobcats in the past that he had to talk his dogs into running a lion. They were broke so well on bobcats that they just they wouldn't run a lion.
Who was it that was talking about? Was it Cody talking about taking bobcat dogs? Somebody was talking about taking the bobcat dogs or taking their dogs out of the wetter country and taking them to the desert, and it was hard for them to get working. But once they did that, and then when they go back to the wetter country after they've been successful in that dry desert, they actually are better dogs. They produce more in that wetter ground. Who was that? You remember that conversation?
No, I don't recall that, Benny.
Somebody was telling us a story and they would take those dogs and hunt them for other people like that.
Yeah.
And
I don't remember who though.
But once they got acclimated to the desert and then they would take them home to that wetter country, they actually hunted and outperformed those other dogs because they were acclimated to drier country.
My best drag ground line dog came out of Battleground, Washington. He was a Findlay River Walker. And he wasn't sticky, though. You know, you get these drag ground line dogs that stand on their head and only push, on that one spot. And they get sticky and they don't want to go 10 feet and search some more. They want, to kind of straddle the
kidding.
track.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I got that problem with a few dogs.
Me too.
My bone dog, it would drive me nuts every now and then, but he'd go 20 yards up on the hillside, bouncing kind of boomerang around. Look like an idiot, but he'd pick up the loses because he wouldn't hang out and just stand on their head with 10 other dogs right there. And he picked up a lot of loses because of it.
That's when I really enjoy. I got a dog. I call him Al. And those dogs will hit a track or whatever. And, I got 2 or 3 that'll, I call it, they don't want to leave what they got might not find, you know what I mean? They don't want to leave what they got, so they get sticky. But Al, you'll watch him. He'll sit there and he'll bawl on it for a minute. And then you look up and he might be on the side of the hill or up whatever. And then he balls. And then the other dogs will honor him and they'll move to it. And it's just the way he is. And he's not real mad. He's fairly silent. He doesn't bark a lot on track. But he's a pretty neat dog. He's one of the terrorists.
My June dog, she gets super sticky, and I just got to yell at her.
Mm-hmm. Come on, let's go. Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll just yell at her to shut up because she'll sit there and hammer on a rock. She's
babbly too, yeah.
Yeah. She'll sit there and hammer on a rock and not push it. And it's like, hey, shut up. And she'll pick her head up and be like, oh, shoot. And then she'll go on and, do what she needs to do. But it's like, son of a gun.
Guys, I'm gonna go to bed.
Benny's
About
got to
that
go to
time.
Benny's got to go to work in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pay the bills. Yep.
Rat holding it.
Benny,
Road.
Couple more weeks, Benny.
thanks for stopping in, Benny.
Maybe this one. We'll see what happens.
Trying to
Just
find
see.
this. We'll see you, Benny. Take care. I got
All right. See ya.
picture.
Later.
See you, Benny.
I got a picture here somewhere of a huge desert tom. If I can find it, I want to share it. I want to show off tonight.
Is that the one in the rocks, that canyon?
This is a different one. I don't think I've ever showed this one. Got it somewhere.
We need our Jeopardy music. We need our Jeopardy music. I actually got to work tomorrow too. Dumb.
Do you guys ever go and check up that layup country? Like where you're like, hey, I've jumped a line out of this bluff before. Let's just go up there. Since we're here, let's just go up there and do it.
Oh, you always check the areas you've seen or seen a track or caught something.
Yeah. I caught 2 toms within 100 yards of theirself of the tree 10 years apart. And I'd only been in that country. And I'd only been in that country 2 times before. So I think I'm going to wait another 10 years to go back.
That's what I do. Bears do it a lot. I've caught 4 different bears in the same exact tree.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find this.
All boars.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know.
We had a canyon like that in Nevada. Me and my buddies would hunt. We killed 3 lions a year out of there every year. Out of this 6-mile stretch of canyons. And we were sitting there around the campfire having a whiskey, and my one buddy looked at me and he's all, have you ever caught a lion? He's like, have you ever caught a female out of here? And we all got to thinking, and we've never caught a female out of those canyons. Every one of them was a tom.
Just a traveling corridor for toms. Yeah. Every one of them went up there and probably laid a scratch on the same scratch.
You know? And we'd let some of those lions go, but we'd usually knock 2 or 3 lions down a year out of those canyons. We might catch one tom 2-3 times out of there, but the same one. But yeah, we'd always knock 2-3 toms down out here. And it was just crazy because none of us have thought about that before until the one guy brought it up. He's like, you guys keep talking about all these toms, but he's like, what about the females you guys catch out of here? And we're like, we've never caught a female out of here. Never thought of that.
Just traveling corridor.
Just traveling through. And that's probably true because there wasn't a lot of game in there. But they'd hold up in there overnight. They'd hold up in there overnight.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but we never ran a lion off a deer kill or a sheep kill or a horse kill out of there. We'd always start them off a scratch, or walk the dogs into them.
Jeremy, Rick, not saying they can't do it, just the train sucks. I think that's a misconception sometimes. You don't realize, you watch these GoPros or these videos, and those GoPros don't do justice to the terrain. No camera does till you get out there. Once you get out there, it's big, dirty country. It's not like
that's a big old Mexican tom.
Yep.
Man, no, that's a good one there.
He was a nice one. And then
they're there every so often.
Do you know that's one really, really cool thing about hunting the dirt?
There's dirt hunting right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
And
no
then
trees.
this was
There's
probably
nothing, man.
my finest catch of all time. Dogs did super good.
Got
We
two in one tree, two
we
on the bluff.
we found them right up the canyon from my camp. You should have seen my
funny.
grandson. My grandson was a little bitty guy, and he was with us. And we were down at another spring pool water earlier, and the water's cold, cold, cold up there. And he wouldn't get in it, and he'd get in it, and I'm too cold and everything. So we jumped in the buggy, and it was me and my son-in-law. It was back when we drank beer. Neither one of us drink beer anymore. And we jumped in the buggy, and we had seen those people go up the canyon with a big old cooler in the back of their buggy. And I said, man, let's go up there and see if they got any. We didn't even know who was in the buggy. We didn't notice it was girls. And so we jumped in the buggy and drove up the canyon. We found that other pool, and there was those girls in those bikinis. We jumped out. Hey, y'all got an extra beer? Oh, yeah, you guys can have a beer. My grandson, he's just a little bitty guy, and they're next to the water, and he just goes out and jumps in the water with them. Just sitting there smiling. He's all happy.
Heck yeah.
Well,
What do you think, guys?
I think I got to work
Tonight
in the
was
morning.
fun. Yeah, I still got to go feed dogs. The old lady's gone until tomorrow.
If I offended anybody, I was playing the part tonight. I wanted to create some excitement.
I know Jeremy,
It worked.
Louisiana
It
Hunting,
worked.
texted me and said, I knew you should have named it Grumpy Old Men. Next week.
Not grumpy, just pulling out the good stuff from people, fussing
Yep.
about things
Yep.
a little bit.
That's all right.
Anyway, Jared, we're going to come down. I'm serious. I'll bring some mules down.
Yeah.
I'll leave my dogs here. We're going to go hunt with your
Hey.
dogs, and we're going to go document, and we'll put it up on the interview stories and tales, and we'll say for a real guided lion hunt, get a hold of Jared.
You bet.
Little free advertisement for you.
Heck yeah.
I told him
appreciate
I had a Mustang for him. Come use this Mustang whenever you want.
There you
I'll
go.
bring
I
it.
sent you a picture of that one. He's in Nevada right now. My buddy got him off the reservation. Well, he's an Indian, so we got him on the reservation. But
Just get you a mule. Just go buy you a mule. I mean,
no,
geez, why?
I need to. But I don't know nothing. Last time I got on a horse lion hunt, I tipped it down the mountain.
I
Well, that's why
fell
you
off
buy
when
a good
I
mule.
fell off when I was with Benny, and I've rode since I've competed since I was a little bitty kid.
And this was the first show it didn't get brought up till Brett just brought
I
it
know
up.
Benny never lets me forget it. I mean, never lets me forget it.
Hey, at least he's off the Kool-Aid now.
If the only way you never gonna get thrown or fall off or whatever happens is if you never ride. I mean, eventually it's gonna happen. Something happens. It
Oh,
just
yeah.
does.
Shoot.
But that mule, I'll bring you to ride. Day before yesterday when I was coming out, I took that little lurcher pup I have. He's out of a really, really good cold blood greyhound and a cow dog. They call them lurchers.
Okay.
Real neat dogs. I mean, and I'll guarantee you, a dog like that, once you get him on a jumped lion, and he knows what's at the end of it, they're real. That's why they put the cow dog in them. Put a big brain in them. He'll run a hot track. I'll guarantee it.
Right on.
Now, if he catches it on the ground, I'll probably have a dead dog because they don't have any brains when it comes to that. They're real tough.
Yep.
Oh man.
But anyway, what was I telling? Oh, I was coming out, and that dog, I thought he was big enough to go on a big circle with us, and he really wasn't. He got real sore-footed and real tired. And I threw him up on the pack mule, and he rode the pack mule half the way out. So, and that mule never even blinked an eye. I threw that dog on that pack. He's a good mule. I don't ride him. I ride Bonnie. I ride her because I like the way she rides. She rides like a good horse, really. She handles real good and walks out and does
That's how
things
much
right.
he misses Brenda.
Brenda, was that other mule I had for a little while?
Yeah, that's the one that you borrowed. And
Yeah.
she just you guys did not click.
No, see, and the guy just gave her to me. He said, just use her as long as you want. And he said, I draw an elk tag. He said, then I want her back. and which would have been a good deal for both of us, really, because he would have got a mule back that was legged up and ready to go, and he wouldn't have to feed that mule all year round. But there was just something about her. It was just something about her I didn't like. And that, then something happens, it's like borrowing that dog or whatever. Something happens to it, then you're responsible. And then I would be paying $5,000 for a dead mule, At least these, I already paid the money for them. So if something happens, it's on me.
Yep. Well, let's end it with one more question. Is 3 or 4 dogs enough to run lions? Cody said if you don't have at least 5 or 6 dogs under the tree, they might just keep jumping on you. Now, this is coming from Cody King, who says just one more dog when he has 15. But it just depends on the lion, in my
lots
opinion.
of dogs.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen lions treed with 2 dogs, so I don't.
Yeah, it depends on the lion. I think there's some of those little females will just keep jumping if you don't have a whole bunch of dogs under the tree.
Yeah, if you don't want a tree climber, you do not want tree climbing dogs, because if you get on a bad running lion or bobcat, whatever, if they get a dog in a tree, they're out, and then you're back to chasing dogs again.
Yeah.
But if you get, I don't know, my first lions, I only caught with 2 dogs. I only had 2 dogs at the time.
I think you can catch a lot of lions with just 2 dogs. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, when I get old,
one dog scares me. Just catching them with 1 dog scares me, just because if you get a lion on a ledge with 1 dog, that could go south real quick.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is just me thinking, when you get a lion on a ledge and he has 7 dogs barking at him, he doesn't know who to focus on, so he just sits still. He doesn't know what. Yeah, because if he goes to the left, a dog on the right is going to bite him in the butt. If he goes to the right, a dog on the left is going to bite him. So he's just, if I sit here and don't move, no one will screw with me. Where if you just have 1 or 2 dogs on a ledge, he can focus a lot more.
Well, and if they're down there close to him, I mean, if they're away from him a little ways, then, I mean, I caught that one Tom up here. He acted like I was, like, why? He wasn't even paying that much attention to him. He was just out there on that ledge, just looking at him like an irritant, until I got there. And then, of course, when I got there, the dogs tried to get down on the ledge with him, because the boss was there. And that's bad.
Oh, yeah. And the only dogs that I ever have problem with on ledges, it's always the same dogs. Then, like, I have my 1 dog. He's retired now, my Mo boy. And he's gone off 4 ledges over 40 feet. And he's never broke nothing. He's made out of rubber. I mean, he's got a gimp leg now at 10 years old, but the last lion we caught was in March with him. And I'll show you guys a video in person, but you hear me yelling, and then, I say some words, and I don't get a video of it, but the dog fell 40 feet and just smack. And, the hunters, he's kind of upset. We hear the smack, and it's like, well, in my head, I'm like, that he didn't make it this time. He's 10. He probably didn't make it. And we get down, knock the lion down. And Mo's fine. He's walking around the bottom. He's drooling a little bit of blood, but he's fine. He's probably got a concussion. He's still wagging his tail. And he's like, can you believe this dog went down there on that ledge and fought this lion for me? And I was like, well, that's probably the 4th time he's done it for someone, so you're not special.
It's just what he does.
Just what he does. Yep.
Well, I had a dog, that little quarter Airedale Terrier, HB, that I had. We caught a lion up here in the Bighorn Sheep Range. And I say we caught her, and that's breaking one of my own rules there. We didn't get a picture of her, and we didn't have a hide to show for it. But the dogs did catch her up in a bluff. Caught her on the bluff, right at the bottom of a bluff. And then when we started getting close, she shot up the bluff. She could go up, and the dogs couldn't go up. And so we went around, took the dogs around, except HB got way out in front of us, and I couldn't find her. And his back, all I had was the beep, beep collars. And I pulled it out, and I started getting beep, 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 and looked. And I mean, this is like a 75-foot bluff, and I mean straight all the way. It's just a big rim all the way around that thing, and she was at the bottom of it. And I thought, oh no, she's dead down there. Nope, she was all right. I couldn't even find any marks on her. I don't even know how that happened.
They're tough.
Well, you know, just like Mike Root's story when that dog went off that 60-footer and it's just banging rocks all the way down, and he talks about it getting banged and launched out into the river, into the willows and aspens, and he yells at the client down below, "Go get the dog, go get the dog," and the guy comes back, "I can't catch it."
Exactly.
It's good, then. It's still alive.
Yep.
Guys, it was fun. Jared, thanks for stopping in.
Yeah.
We'll go down there and
thanks for
we'll make an epic lion hunting video. But we expect you to catch something. We're not driving all the way over there for nothing.
We want a big Tom. We want a big 160-pound Tom.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep. All right, guys.
At least they think easy. Yep.
Sounds good. Thanks everyone for dropping in.
Yep.
Sorry if I seemed grumpy for a little while. That was just it.
It's just Brett.
Just brainwashed.